Support for Good Noticings comes from cotton, the fabric of our lives.
Ashley, you were the one who was teaching me because you know everything about fabric.
I don't know everything about fabric. There's always room to learn more.
But you were telling me denim is cotton.
Yeah.
Chambray is cotton. You know what one of the biggest mistakes I made last year at Primavera was? I wore a wool two-piece suit and it locked the heat in and I was so hot. And if I've learned anything about how to go to a festival this summer, it's like wear cotton because the thin layer keeps you cool but also protects you from the wind.
Yeah, you want like a breathable fiber that is so soft and
but it also can cover you from potentially like sunburns. You know what I mean? I love it because I can do like an easy breezy cotton layer.
You want it soft and from day sweet on your skin.
Yes. You want something that's going to be good pre and post sundown.
Yeah.
The next time you shop, check the tags for cotton. Support for this show comes from Saint Germain Elderflower Liqueur, the star of the Saint Germain Spritz.
You may know it as the brighter, more refreshing, and elevated take on the Hugo Spritz. You're going to mix a little bit of sparkling wine, a little bit of sparkling water. Saint Germain, stir it up.
I like to just top it with anything I have on hand that's beautiful. I like a lemon, I like a lime, I like a mint sprig. But I mean, anything beautiful. You can even throw a couple blueberries in if you're feeling like crazy.
You sound crazy.
I know, but I am
experimental and I like it.
Visit stgermainliqueur.com to shop and explore recipes.
Enjoy responsibly.
Ashley.
Good noticings to you, Claire. This is Good Noticings.
Well, it's time. It's time to finally announce the thing we've been sitting on. We, as you may have known, have been workshopping a little panel show that we like to call Clash Talk, a competitive talk show. We had it at Union Hall. We have 3 more performances this summer.
At Union Hall.
July 11th, 7:30, July 26th, 7:30, and August 8th, 7:30. And you may be saying, but Claire, I don't live in New York City. I can't go to Union Hall on those days. Well, you have a second option, baby.
You can meet us in Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, the Fringe Fest, August 22nd through August 30th. We're doing 8 performances. It's going to be the time of our lives. It's going to be never before seen, unbelievable, beginning of the future, like category changing. What's it called when you like...
Groundbreaking?
Yeah.
Earth-shattering?
Groundbreaking, earth-shattering, and ceiling smashing.
Yeah. The glass ceiling, consider it shattered. Much like the glass here on the floor, shattered.
They don't know.
Oh, there's glass on the floor here, shattered.
It's been here for 4 or 5 weeks.
I actually tried to clean it up today. It only partially worked. Anyway, the point is, the glass in Edinburgh is going to be shattered.
Yeah. Board up your windows now, my Scott folk.
Hurricane Clashley is coming to town.
We would love if you came out to see us. Please get your tickets now. You've got 8 chances. I'm going to take Ashley to have the cardamom bun that changed my life.
I'm really excited about it. And I'm excited about the rest of the shows. I had so much fun at the first Clash Talk. The second Clash Talk is going to be next weekend. We've already told you all the dates, but it's so much fun to do.
We have amazing guests for this upcoming one.
Yeah.
Brandon Wardell, you may know him as the coining father of Dicks Out for Harambe, one of the more important tweets of the 2010s.
We've got Julia Shiplett, an incredible comedian, such a funny writer, such a cool outfit maker.
Yeah. Bisexual, biracial, so kind of 4 people in one.
Oh, and Lisa Traeger.
Who's one of my all-time favorite comedians of all time.
I'm so excited for it. We're going to have incredible guests for every single show this summer, and it's going to be a whirlwind coming in to ye olde Scotland.
Mm-hmm. And we can't wait. And thanks for having us. God, the Scots are doing great. You were beloved in Boston, and I don't know how you guys have been faring in Miami, but I'm excited for us to come and drink all your beer.
Claire, do you have any recs this week?
I do. Rec number 1, Chomps.
Yum, your fave.
Yeah, I'm really in a Chomps era right now. Something I'm really focusing on for my health is like when we sit down to record this podcast or when I'm feeling dreary in the middle of an afternoon, I tend to go for caffeine or sugar. And what every doctor and adult and person has said is like, that's not really the answer.
Oh.
So now what I'm trying to do is have a glass of water and a Chomp because sometimes I just need a little pick-me-up, a little energy, a little protein. And the problem with this studio is we can't have perishable goods in here.
Yeah, because we're not here often enough. And
we're nasty. I'll be honest, we're disgusting. I've been loving a Chomps as just like a way to get a quick protein filler up, give me a little energy. And I'm I'm good to talk about things that are important, like Lizzo. Why does she suck now? Second, safety pins.
Oh.
Have you noticed hot girls on TikTok are doing this thing where their shirt's just showing a little bit of skin to the side? It's like the Gen Z
I thought
millennial
their shirts
tuck.
just kind of did that because they're so hot.
No.
I thought when you're hot, you can make things just land how you want them.
Yeah, your body has like a stickiness to it.
I thought it was like a natural starchiness that comes from within.
I think it's safety pins.
Oh.
So if you watch the video, you can see, because sometimes, you know me, I'm a girl who likes to mix big and little clothing. But oftentimes what happens is I haven't done laundry, so it's big, 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 big. And sometimes I like to show you there's a little lady down here underneath all these big clothes. A little, look at this. Can you see it on the cam? A little bit of skin that reminds you I'm available.
To be a woman. If you're looking for any to hire a woman.
I'm one. It is something that I think when you find out, you go, oh, that's how they're doing it.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I didn't know.
There you go. Sometimes they're tucking them into a bra, but if you're like me, you're pretty braless. Even though I will say I'm like coming around on bras.
Oh, yeah. I've been wearing bras a lot lately.
It's kind of something new I'm into.
Can I tell you something that happened to me one time with safety pins? I tried to buy a set on the internet. This is why you can't shop on Amazon. This is an anti-endorsement for Amazon, a non-rec, if you will, even though normally I love Jeff Bezos.
You like him as a person and a friend. But you have different politics.
Exactly.
But that doesn't stop you guys from
People can disagree.
But you should see him on a wakeboard. He's so fun.
Anyway, I bought a pack of safety pins and they came as like comically large, like cartoon diaper safety pins. They're huge. They're like 4 inches long.
Well, you could hold up pants that way.
I mean, I can hold up a house that way.
Imagine safety pinning Bug to a kite.
Oh, my poor baby.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen. You don't have to feel sad. It didn't happen.
She would be so upset.
Didn't happen. Anyway, recommendation number 3. I went to a wedding this weekend.
Wow.
I had a ton of fun. I actually saw my friend at the coffee shop today and he said, what'd you do this weekend? I said, I went to a wedding. I'm tired. He goes, yeah, I almost said you look tired. I can see it on your face. But this is actually recommendation 3A. Thank you. There's nothing worse than feeling ugly or tired and having somebody go, no, you look normal. And you're
Sorry,
like,
what was recommendation 3?
Well, I haven't gotten to it yet, but this is like on the way. It's like kind of the lessons we learn as we get to the destination.
Okay.
This is like a pit stop on the way to 3.
Okay.
But good check-in.
No problem.
I could see why you were confused, but catch up.
Okay.
Yeah, recommendation 3. If somebody looks like shit, just say, not your best, because then they know that that's...
Yeah, sometimes it's validating.
Sometimes you're going, am I tired or am I just seeing myself clearly for the first time?
Sometimes when I feel really ugly and people go, no, you look great, I go, okay, so this is how you always think I look.
So, true recommendation 3. It's a little specialty of mine at a wedding. It's a little activity that I like to do. I like to take all the boys' shirts off.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, they don't like it.
Really?
Some are more receptive than others. It's kind of the thing about having your shirt taken off is much like all consent. It kind of has to come from within. I heavily suggest
you.
I think boys like it more when they've come up with it amongst themselves.
Yeah.
I like to bring it to... Some boys haven't thought of taking their shirts off at a wedding.
Okay.
But when I'm drunk and a little high, I like to have a project. So I like to go around and see how many shirts I can get. And you just go button by button, and they're all wearing button-ups, which is perfect for a night like this.
Yeah.
It starts off casual, and it's just...
And the summertime, I feel like we're not seeing a lot of undershirts these days.
Oh, no. It's
undershirts have gone the way of the dodo.
It's nips, it's hair. Sometimes it's a shocking amount of bald skin. But that's what's fun about it. You don't know what a boy's got under his shirt. And I just think if you're ever at a wedding, I didn't really know people there. I mean, you know what I mean? I was a +1. It's fun. I've been a +1 at a wedding. I'm taking people's shirts off. I'll tell you, by the end of the wedding, a lot of people have put their shirts back on. I don't think they were fucking with it too heavy.
Okay. Well,
I don't
it's
think
just different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, but I just think sometimes you're at a wedding, you don't know what to do with your hands. Tip 3C, 3B2, kind of sub 3B, if you will. If a guy is there with a girlfriend, wife, or fiance, you really can't go up and unbutton his shirt. Now you've got a whole team of people kind of pissed at you.
Who liked this?
Sometimes people like it.
Sometimes people like it because I've been to a lot of shirtless weddings.
Yeah.
And I thought everyone liked it. So
I thought everyone liked it too. My suggestion here is if there's a man and he's in a couple, go to the girlfriend and you go, you got to start unbuttoning that shirt. Because you have to outsource.
Yeah. It's a way to build community.
It's a way to build community. It kind of comes to something. People are hot.
Yeah. Plus, it's nice to know by the end of the party whose shirts, whose skins, in case a game of ball breaks out.
Yeah. If you're one of those people who at a party likes to have an activity or a project, like normally you're like, I'm manning the grill. Normally I'm cleaning up. Normally I'm the DJ. If you're somebody who likes an activity at a party,
yeah,
I really recommend try spending the whole night getting all the boys shirtless.
It's a very tailoring heavy recommendations list.
Yeah.
Okay, my recommendations this week are one, listen, I gave into something and it is
ChatGPT.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I say, screw the Amazon. Guess what my dog would look like as a Renaissance painting? Guess what? Can you believe I actually haven't done that?
I actually am surprised that you haven't hired someone to do that for you.
I'm waiting for my birthday next year. I just don't think Renaissance fits her. I want her in a different situation. She does
not have she's got no cherubic type bod.
No, I want her like piloting a propeller plane.
You know who would do like an incredible,
with a scarf.
Can I tell you? Obviously, don't do this.
Don't ChatGPT it. If you can paint, let me know.
I do think Bug would be great like in a Caravaggio style painting. Because he works with a lot of light and dark, and I feel like everybody in his paintings are like pained and emaciated and like everyone looks like they just got out of battle and they're like a little bit gruffed up.
Yeah, so I'm imagining her on a propeller plane like Snoopy with her scarf flying behind her in the wind.
Sure.
So
we'll accept either.
Yeah, either one. Let us know. Let us know if either is your specialty. Okay, anyway, what was I saying? I bought Rhode lip balm. The Hailey Bieber Rhode peptide lip balm.
I'm on a journey of finding skincare that works with someone who's prone to perioral dermatitis, and apparently Hailey Bieber is, and so Rhode is very safe for this. But how are you liking it?
I'm loving it. It's the best lip balm I've ever owned.
Are you wearing it right now?
Yeah.
I noticed your lips.
I love it.
I noticed your lips.
It's
when you walked in, but we were busy. Audrey, our producer, was showing us a really shocking Instagram.
I feel hydrated. I feel fresh. I feel bright. It's not too sticky, but it is like objectively present. I feel like
I noticed it. You have it's really good.
I love it.
Is there a flavor or a color that you're using?
Mine is like gray with red writing on it, but I don't think it's like flavored or colored really. Like I think there's two different.
You sound like a dad trying to buy tampons for his daughter. A size. Well, this box is big and this box is little. Yeah, what's the inside? The size of the tampons, Dad.
It just says peptide lip balm, and I don't know if there's different types of lip balms, but this one says peptide on it.
Okay, got it.
So it's GLP-1s.
Imagine you were like trying to inject the lip balm into yourself. You're like, yeah, it keeps you hydrated from within.
I actually don't believe that no one's ever done that. Anyway, I definitely feel people have eaten it just to see. And I'm curious about what it tastes like, but not me. I wouldn't do that.
Lick your lips.
No. Okay, my next recommendation is I'm a Lot. It's a book coming out next week by Allison Leiby. We are hosting the book launch event at the Bell House on July 7th. And I'm reading the book right now. I love it. It's so, I feel like quenching for a woman in her 20s or 30s.
Fun. I'm starting it tomorrow.
I really recommend it. So get that pre-order in, baby. And then my third recommendation this week is soft served yogurt, but like not soft.
Bitch.
Soft served ice cream, like not Greek yogurt, like when they take ice cream and then they like soft servify it. Like
soft serve.
Yeah, but I feel
the
like
adjective is the noun.
But I don't want it from a soft serve machine. I want hard yogurt served soft. And I went to a place that did that and I really liked it. I liked it better because it's real ice cream, but soft.
I used to do this. I used to make ice cream soup, and my parents hated that about me.
Okay, well, maybe your parents were behind the times.
No, they just did not like what I was doing with food a lot of my life. I had a lot of like things. I was a big player with the food.
Okay. Now have things changed?
I guess I don't really play anymore. They beat it out of me. I don't play.
God, a lust for life snuff.
Where did you go that you had this thing?
I think it's called like Uncle Lou's. It's at the Graham Ave L stop.
Sure. And you're saying
they have a machine and they put a scoop of ice cream in a soft serve machine and it like soft serves a hard ice cream. And I really enjoyed it. Bit of a stretch for a third rec this week.
Yeah.
But boy, oh boy, did I find one. Anyway, should we get into this week's topics?
You guys, we have so much to talk about. Up first, we've got our resident Mamdani stand liver, She's got stamped passport, Mom Dunistan.
And I'm reporting about Jack Schlossberg. And
the Dems sweeping and what it means for the Dems that the Dems finally won. News alert, the Dems hate it. Second up, we are talking about stealing. Is it bad? Copying. We're talking about Vans. We're talking about Pharrell. We're talking about I Love Boosters. We're talking about late stage capitalism.
Wow.
Hold your tits. Yeah.
Next up, we are talking about Lizzo. She has a new album out, and no one really knew that.
We knew, we ignored, we forced ourselves to listen, and oh my God, she's better off with nobody knowing about it. We listened to the Swiftologist interview with Lizzo. We've read the articles about what's happening here. We're just generally Lizzo followers. I feel like we've actually really tracked the rise and fall of Lizzo on this podcast kind of often.
Mm-hmm.
So we will get into what we think, what happened there, the Lizzo story.
Yeah, what is going on right now and what should happen next. Next up, we are talking about Olandria, Cosmo's latest cover gal.
She finally said something that seems to have made some people mad. Is it valid?
I'm excited to talk about it.
And are we risking our lives by acknowledging her?
Yes. Without a doubt, yes.
Who would win?
Us or Stans?
No. Caleb Heron's They Them Shooters?
Oh.
Or what are the Olandria Stans called?
I don't know.
Nick Landrians?
Yeah.
Ola Barbies?
I think the Ola Barbies. I think without a doubt. I'm scared to even pose the question.
I don't know. The They Them Shooters took on Mr. Beast and won.
Yeah, but I think Mr. Beast is a mirage. And I've been saying that.
He's just an essence of a compound.
Exactly. And then finally, Olivia Wilde. Is
What
she
happened?
the stupidest bitch in town or just a lady?
Or just a lazy being taken down by the normal machinations that take down all women who crave power and independence and live imperfect lives? We've done some research, and it turns out the answer won't shock you, but it's more complicated than a headline.
Should we get into it? Should I talk about Jackie Schloss?
Yeah, what happened to that poor Kennedy? When will it be his turn?
That's exactly the question he's asking.
Doesn't it feel like, in the Joe Biden sense of the word, he deserves one?
I believe he believes that, yes.
But I thought that that's what our democracy was about.
And I believe he believes that. And I think that that is what's so interesting about his loss is that I think that's how the Democrats have largely functioned. And in fact, how the majority of our government has functioned is like, whose turn is it this time? Give the boy a chance.
Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Exactly.
Joe Mr. Biden.
After Joe Biden.
What do you think Hunter will run for? He's been doing great on social media, which seems to be the number one step
into
becoming president.
A campaign, yeah. Anyway, so Jack Schlossberg ran for Congress in New York City, District 12, and lost.
And this is a super important district, right?
Yes.
Isn't it like the wealthiest district in America?
Yeah. So David Remnick, who interviewed him for The New Yorker, is a
resident
of the district.
And how rich is he? I guess maybe not even rich in wealth, but rich in capital, social capital.
I just imagine he lives amongst the other New Yorker editors who live amongst the other elites.
He's the editor of The New Yorker, right?
Correct. So the notable results of these like New York elections last week were that 3 Democratic Socialist candidates were running in 3 different districts.
And Congress is important because it's like they're going in representing us on a national scale, right?
Yes.
It's not just like your local guy worried about street sweeping, which is so important.
Street sweeping is so important. So the 3 Democratic Socialist candidates that were all endorsed by and campaigned with Zoran won their districts. And Jack Schlossberg, who is, I think, viewed by the Democratic establishment to be similarly viral, lost. And I think it's really interesting because the Democratic establishment, like the Democratic Party, has, as we know, refused to release this supposed postmortem on the 2024 election. And I think it can be very clearly visualized in this Jack Schlossberg loss / DSA win.
Well, it's really interesting because I feel like there's been this argument that it's just like the person who has the TikTok followers can win. But one of our big complaints about Kamala Harris was there was this like group of like young, out of touch Gen Zers who were putting millions of dollars behind memes. And people kept being like, we need her to speak out against Israel weaponry. And they're like, no, we need Brat.
Exactly.
And it's interesting because I guess like now you have the evidence. We need people with clear cut, morally strong standpoints and not just the cutest dude with a Vulture interview.
Exactly. And I think it's so interesting when you look at some of these interviews with Jack Schlossberg, including and especially this David Remnick interview in The New Yorker. He is someone who had momentum behind his campaign because of his name. And because of that momentum, he had this massive feature in The New Yorker. He had a handful of interviews. He had social power that he could leverage into campaign work. And what he did with it instead was talk in circles and say nothing, Democratic style.
And the problem is he is from a Democratic establishment family. And I think what we're seeing right now is that people feel very betrayed and unlistened to by the Democrats. One of his big supporters was Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, I think it might have been his
Nancy Pelosi, she's not just the nail in the coffin, she's the body in the coffin. Give me a postmortem on her.
So David Remnick is trying to get Jack Schlossberg in this interview to say the Biden administration and by extension Kamala Harris mishandled Gaza.
Of course.
He's trying to ask, like, do you think that had an effect on Kamala's campaign? This roundabout is so interesting.
Read it to me.
He says, so Iran under Donald Trump was the breaking point, not the behavior of the United States during Gaza when President Biden was in office. He says, well, I think it's a very complicated situation. Then Remnick asks, I guess what I'm asking is, were President Biden and Kamala Harris too easy on Netanyahu when they were in office? And he says, I wouldn't go that far. I think it's easy to second guess policy, but President Biden is a strong supporter of Israel. Certainly more could have been done to protect lives in Gaza, but I also believe Biden was able to get humanitarian aid into Gaza in a way that President Trump has refused to do. Do you think history will be kind to President Biden when it comes to Gaza? I don't think history will be kind to the U.S. when it comes to Gaza, but I do think that the situation has changed over time. So, like, the way he is just kind of dipping and dodging around these conversations in order to protect Biden, I think is so fascinating because we have, at this point, proof that the Democrats won't release that this was, like, a breaking issue for the Harris and Biden campaigns. And the fact that he's sitting there and throughout this interview, he's absolutely singing the praises of Biden. He, like, will not under any circumstance criticize Biden. He won't criticize. At one point, he talks about how he doesn't think that politicians should be able to trade stocks. And then Remnick asks, he says, do you think members of Congress should be able to trade stocks? He says, absolutely not. And then he goes, do you worry that Nancy Pelosi, who's probably your most prominent endorser, has done better in the stock market than one could ever possibly imagine? And he says, I think Nancy Pelosi is the backbone of our party and exists in a system where she did nothing illegal. I wouldn't trade stocks, but I'm not about to sit here and question and dismiss tactics.
Yeah, you stand for nothing.
He stands for nothing, but he also is, like, so a product of the Democratic Party in a way that he is being an incredibly good establishment politician, I would say. I think he's answering these questions.
He's like establishment Democrat 2.0 now with TikTok sounds.
Exactly. And then you look at his social media presence, and it's also not particularly impactful. And I think to me, that shows the way that establishment Democrats don't understand, like, what a follower versus a supporter is necessarily. Like, getting views does not mean gaining support. And I don't think they get that. At one point, he tries to engage some of the more known right-wing podcasters. He tried to kind of, like, bait Joe Rogan on something, and nobody really responds to him. Like, nobody really cares what he's talking about. He can get viewers on his videos. He can get followers because he's Jack Schlossberg, because he made a couple videos and was picked up as a correspondent by Vanity Fair. And, like, that is getting him viewers, but it's not getting him support. It's not getting him followers. And I think there's, like, a real divergence of the understanding of how social media works. Like, Mamdani, when he was using social media for his campaign, he was using social media not to, like, get views, but to get his message out.
And I mean, he's such a genius at it. Like, you can't, even if you don't agree with him, you can't not give him credit for the way that whatever bullshit question they ask, he can reroute any crazy question to policy.
Yes. And that's the thing, is when he doesn't want to answer a question, he's not just answering it in a circle, he's answering it with what he wants to say and, like, with an actionable policy. And I think that what we saw the Republicans win on time and time again is that they are acknowledging the issues people have. Like, they are acknowledging and talking about fixing issues. The problem is they're liars and they're not doing that.
Yeah, and the way they're fixing issues are actually making issues worse than just helping the rich get richer.
Exactly.
I think it's kind of cool that we are at this era, though, of, I feel like I used to be like, I hope the Democrat establishment listens. I actually am like, who cares? They're dying out. They're not going to win. And I don't feel, as, like, a relatively young person anymore, that we're desperate for the establishment Democrats to, like, listen and adapt, because I think we're just replacing them. And, like, more left politics has more power than they have, which is cool. And eventually this will be just, like, the new way. And then, you know, our kids can be really disappointed in, like, our people. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it'll be great, but I do think we are moving more left and we are changing it. But I really want to give a shout out to this one specific street interview that I think perfectly encapsulates what they've misunderstood and what now they've perfectly proven to a point in terms of the establishment Democrats undermining and discrediting like the DSA Mamdani tactics of like, oh, well, you just have social media. But it's like, yeah, we have social media that's reaching young people and either changing their minds or rallying them to get out and vote because they're saying something specific. So here is a crackhead Barney and friends. This is such a funny person to have taken down. But I think a lot of people online who presumably would have been brought out to vote for Jack Schlossberg saw this video and he lost because of it.
We vote for you. We got to get money out of politics. We will never have no kings as long as billionaires can buy elections.
Can you say free Palestine?
What? I'm not going to say.
Why can't you say free Palestine?
Because that's not what we're here for.
I think that in itself exactly proves what you were saying and why Kamala Harris's like $5 billion meme campaign failed and why Jack Schlossberg failed and why the actual DSA is winning and it's not just about who has the most social media. It's who's using social media to get out a message.
Yeah, like say something.
Like an actionable message.
And if you won't say free Palestine, then say why. Like have a policy. Like
if you want to say free Palestine, I guess say like long live Israel or something. Like, but pick a fucking side. The thing that like nobody is down for anymore is this middle of the road bullshit where it's clear that you're just gonna like have the back of whoever has the most power so that you can like sidle up to Nancy Pelosi. Imagine running on the platform of
no kings.
Or congressmen shouldn't be able to trade in stocks. Nancy Pelosi's were so much fucking money.
Yeah.
But she shouldn't have to stop.
Yeah. I think it was so fascinating to me to read that interview and to read how little someone had to say. And then you look at like, again, Claire Valdez, someone I know people who are working with her campaign. And then also the Saturday before the election, I'm walking my dog in the park and I run into her and I see her canvassers all over the place. And I, you know, like went to a campaign event for her. Like
I will say, you don't live near Josh Schlossberg.
No, I know.
You might have run into him.
I didn't see him.
Well, you don't go to where he lives.
No, I know, but what I'm saying...
When's the last time you were in uptown Manhattan?
What I'm saying is like the way that the campaigns that are winning have focused on community and canvassing and showing up in your places
social media.
In addition to social media. I mean, Mamdani, when he won, he was out everywhere every day.
Yeah, and the New York Times was coming for him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do think like Jack Schlossberg represents the worst of what the Democrats are right now, which is like loyalty to party over people and not feeling that you need to represent the people who are voting for you, but feeling like I am the representative of the people who are already in charge to like come and see if I can calm down the people who are supposed to vote for us.
Yeah, because I agree it's party over people, but it's also like a disrespect of the people. Like it's
disrespectful. Like that's like disrespectful, I think, to be like, what's most important to us is making sure we stay in power. And like there's been such a feeling, I feel, as a lifelong Democratic voter of like, vote blue no matter who. And like, just this idea that we've let them down. Like every time somebody splits the vote or something, it's like, well, how dare you do this to Nancy Pelosi? How dare you do this to Joe Biden? Like this idea that we're not allowed to vote for our own best interest because we owe you the vote. And you know what I mean? Every time Democrats yell at other Democrats for like caring about Palestine, caring about healthcare, caring about abortion, first we have to help out the Democrats and then they can come and make sure that we don't die in poverty in hospitals that can't take us.
They promised they'd help us.
Ladies, is your abortion more important than Joe Biden's legacy? He wanted it so bad. Just let him have it.
Let him have it. It's a good man.
Okay, fine. He can't have it a second time, but he picked his friend Kamala. He's her friend. He wants her to have it. She should get to have it.
She should get to have it. She only had 107 days. Cut her some slack. Vote for her on a curve.
We wouldn't have picked her if we didn't already know that we would have rigged it to make her win anyway. The primaries are a joke and you're a fool and a child for thinking they would have mattered.
If you're not just voting for her, then it's your fault that the Democratic Party is a failure.
You guys blew it. Anywho.
This is advertiser content from Cotton,
the fabric of our lives. The problem with going outside in the summer is sometimes it's really hot and I don't know what to wear.
You've got to put on some cotton.
You know where I love wearing cotton the most?
Where?
The beach. It's breathable, but it'll keep the sand at bay. It looks cute by the ocean. Cotton's my all-time favorite beachwear fabric. It's also my favorite for towels. It's also my favorite for a robe for after I take my post-beach shower and I get cozy.
Oh, there is nothing better than the post-beach shower. When you are out there at the beach, it is hot. The sun is beating down on you. You're getting whipped and tumbled around by the waves. And then you hop out, slather on some more lotion, and wrap up in some cotton. Your skin is going to do a prayer.
Can I tell you something? Did you know once I did a sketch about eating all the plastic so that the whales don't have to? And I was wearing my favorite cotton shorts.
Cotton is in, plastic is out. In order to honor the summer and honor the beach, we are supporting Plastic Free July.
It's a time to bring awareness to the everyday choices we make that can affect our planet. One great swap is making sure you're wearing 100% cotton every day. A plastic-free option.
Cotton is a fabric that feels great on your skin and on your conscience.
So I just saw a couple things happening in different segments of the art world this week that I thought was interesting and would bring on an interesting conversation. One is that for some reason, Boots Riley, bless his poor little heart, he's on Threads trying to promote his movies. So he's been going through hell. You know what I mean? I mean, I just feel like he's been dragged into conversations where I'm like, well, this is psychotic. This man is just asking to see his movie in theaters so that he has a chance. Anyway, we saw I Love Boosters. I really liked it. I love Keke Palmer. I really love Boots Riley. Sorry to bother you. Something interesting that happened was he was accused of stealing the idea for I Love Boosters from a recent film grad school student, Nana DeFore. She is a filmmaker who recently graduated from Columbia University, the master's program for film, and her thesis short film was called Rainbow Girls. And it's about 3 friends in the Bay Area who are boosters.
Yes.
They also all have like colorful wigs on. So like, in that sense, visually, I could see how like the 2 title shots look very similar. And obviously it's like the same concept.
The log line is adjacent.
Is the same. And so people were kind of like getting up in Boots Riley's mentions being like, you stole this woman's short film. Which of course he fucking didn't. Of course he didn't. And she wrote a really thoughtful Substack in response, I thought, about it. About, first of all, before she had even made her project, she heard about his movie. She was like working on it and in pre-production. And when she heard about his film, she was like, oh, fuck, is there even a point for me to keep making mine when it is so similar? And then when she saw his, she was like, she had already shot hers. And she was like, okay, there's a lot of similarities. But first of all, she's like, he didn't steal it from me. And he came out and he goes, listen, I wrote a song called I Love Boosters in 2005. I sold the concept for this movie in 2019. If anybody knows anything about film,
it's not happening the day you see it. They didn't make it that morning and then you saw it that night.
It's not an Instagram trend. Even there was that couple that tried to sue Allison Brie and
Dave Franco
because they had a similar themed idea movie. And it was just like, yeah, there is no way for someone to steal your movie and have it come out on the same season because like that's just not how movies get made. Especially not a movie with a huge budget. Those don't just get like slapped together last minute because they saw a short at an indie film. Anyway. But Nana DeFore wrote this really interesting Substack basically being like, yeah, they are similar, but that doesn't mean that we stole from each other. That means that there's like a real pain point here that we're both addressing. If like artists are coming up with the same response at the same time to something, that means actually we don't need fewer, we need more.
Yeah.
And I think that was such an interesting response in terms of art because I think this happens a lot where all of a sudden you look and there's something everywhere. And I think even our old podcast, Celebrity Mama Book Club, within a year of us making ours, I think there was like 3 or 4 others. And it's not because somebody was stealing from somebody else. It's because there was something in the atmosphere that made lots of different people concurrently and parallelly go, oh, here's a good idea.
And it was Jessica Simpson's memoir.
And Mariah, it was the 1-2 punch of Jessica and Mariah.
Yeah.
And then it was aided and abetted by the fact that because of the pandemic, a lot of people started writing memoirs. Right. They couldn't work. Anyway. So I thought it was really generous and interesting. And she was just like, why can there be 100 Supermans, 100 Spider-Mans, 100 of the same fucking stupid movie? Like how many rom-coms, so many movies are the same that why when it's like 2 Black artists talking about a specific part of capitalism in the Bay Area, are we like, no, you get one. How about if both of us had this idea? I bet a lot of people have noticed the same stuff. How about we all get to show our POV and we get to have, if there's so many people having this response, then maybe it needs to be an even bigger conversation.
Yeah, I feel like we see this all the time in art, especially in stand-up, which is, I think, the area that you and I are most familiar in. Sorry to call that art. But I think we see constantly that, like, there'll be 5 white guys on a lineup, and then if there's a girl, they'll go, oh, we can't put the girls back to back because it'll be too many girls. And
yeah,
it's
and like why I had to hear all of you talk about jerking off all night.
And then we see it also where like women are accused of stealing each other's jokes all the time. And it's like, well, maybe women are encountering similar things. Like men all have the same jokes too. You know, I think not everyone is stealing. Not everyone is copying. Not everyone is similar to each other. Actually, not everyone is a white guy. And like for you and I aren't copying each other by being girls.
Yeah.
We just both are.
Yeah. We just don't have big brains to think unique thoughts. But that doesn't mean we both don't get a shot. Twitter is large and there's room for everybody.
Exactly.
So I just thought that was a really interesting conversation and like a really interesting...
A mature framing, I feel.
Yeah, a mature, honest framing. And also like, she says, what I've come to understand is that when 2 filmmakers independently look at the hypergentrification of the Bay Area, the crushing weight of late-stage capitalism and the rebellious art of boosting luxury goods and decide to make a movie about it, that's not a case of copycats. That is a cultural distress signal. It means a story is begging to be told.
I had my criticisms of I Love Boosters. We talked about it on the Patreon maybe 2 weeks ago, but I will say I thought it was an incredible concept, and I do think it is a story that is begging to be told. Like, you don't watch that movie and go, why?
and she says, so the question for me isn't who did it first, but why can't we have both?
It's a really good question.
They're not competing. They are in much needed conversation. And I think that is another thing that I think is so interesting about art. There's this idea, and I feel like it's almost a meme at this, or it's like literally a meme at this point, this idea that capitalism breeds innovation. And then the joke is you go to the cereal aisle and there's 1,000 versions of the exact same cereal. And I think there's this idea that we're all competing and there has to be monopoly and somebody will come out on top. But then the joke of innovation is very often you look at how somebody else did something and you tweak it a little bit and you steal their idea and you market it better. And it's not a better product. It's just maybe a more effective business.
Mm-hmm.
This cannot be applied to art because art is inherently in conversation. All art is referring to the art that came before it, that the artist has seen, has consumed, has made them think, has like created their idea. And even if your piece of art is in direct opposition to something, that still links them. If you came and you said, everybody's been doing ironic comedy, I want to do something sincere, you're still in conversation with all the ironic comedy that came before you.
I also think this is something that's been a bit destroyed by the lack of nuance on the internet because of the way that we talked about this with the music copyright law a couple of weeks ago, the way that when people will say they're inspired by a certain piece of music, like music exists in conversation with other music. Just because you were inspired by a certain song doesn't mean you've stolen that song. And I think people, because a couple of times it's been proven that actually pieces of a song were lifted, now they get very like high on their policing ability to take revenue away from an artist.
Exactly. It comes down to the money of it all.
Yeah.
The capitalism of art, which is not necessarily like, I don't know. I can't imagine artists personally are that upset.
Right.
When somebody else has been inspired and riffs on their song or whatever.
Right. And you see this in comedy too. People will have a similar premise and it's like, yeah, maybe that person did get their premise from you. And if there's a completely different punchline, who cares?
So I wanted to talk about this specifically because something else I was noticing, this is like tales from Twitter. I don't know if it got to wherever you live on the internet. I'm on Twitter and you're not.
I'm not.
But one of the big beefs last week that came out of Paris Fashion Week was Pharrell debuted one of his new sneakers for Louis Vuitton. He's like a Louis Vuitton creative director. It's a pair of sneakers. First, the internet noticed and then Vans capitalized on this idea that the sneaker he invented, it's like a croc embossed red leather on a rubber sole. Looks a lot like a Van.
Okay.
A Vans, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't know
what's one Van.
Yeah. Vans has been apparently dying as a company for the last few years. They've been trending down.
I've bought 2 pairs for my baby niece.
Yeah, well, those are littler than the adult ones.
Okay. You got to buy full-size shoes if you want to keep them in business.
So it seems like they jumped on this trend, and it seems like they're kind of hoping to be seen as the originals. They have these shoes called the Authentics. They were made in the 90s. They came also out of California. They were quickly adopted by skateboarders. This is actually really interesting. I didn't know this. They were initially a boat shoe, but it got big in the skateboard community because the rubber, that material that's used to grip boats, also works on skateboards.
Oh.
So that's why they became a skater shoe, because they actually were grippy. They were like functional for a skateboard pre-grip tape. That being said, they are not the first of that kind. This idea of the canvas low top on a rubber sole, Keds was doing it in 1912. Tyler, the Creator, who has a Converse collab also came in and was like, I'd like to have a word. They also have piped up and been like, we've been around for 100 years. Also, Sperry's are in the conversation. They all look...
So everyone with a rubber sole? I mean, there's a Beatles album called Rubber Soul.
Exactly. There is no first person to do it. And so the question is, why was Vans capitalizing on this? Probably...
because they're not doing so hot.
They're not doing so hot. And I think something really interesting that I want to quote my friend, my internet friend who doesn't know me, but I follow him. His name is, I recommended him the other day, Louis Pisano, or maybe Louis. He lives in France. It could be Louis Pisano. He commented saying, I remember when me and a couple of the other fashion pundits of the internet were paid under the table by a brand a few years ago to start a rumor that one brand was copying another brand. Anyway, I just think that is so interesting that he has named that as a specific strategy to accuse of copying, especially when we live in a world where, like, I think dupe culture has really rotted people's brains into thinking things are more black and white. I think there's like a way of not understanding art where you come in and you go, they did it first, it's their thing, and not that like it's a constant living, breathing evolution and conversation that nobody truly is doing anything original. Or even if it's deeply original, it's like everything is done in reference to what's come before it.
I also think it's like a need to moralize and have like a black and white criticism of something. Yes. Where if people look at these shoes and they go, that's a Louis Vuitton shoe, and they go, no, that looks like a copy of a Vans shoe. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they need to have a hard reason for why that's not an appealing shoe, and they can't come up with the language necessarily to just like...
Or even like, I feel like it's like an intellectual thing of like, you didn't trick me.
Yes.
I know you copied like by being able to go to these names. I find it so interesting how quickly people wanted to come for Boots Riley, who like, I don't know, maybe I'm missing something huge, but from what I can tell, he's like an incredibly like politically active, morally driven creator and artist who's like been at it for a really long time at like a very like respectable pace and like puts his money where his mouth is and really has a message that's strong and meaningful. So this idea that he would have like stolen from this woman in grad school, why are people so quick to do you know, like what way is that to engage with somebody's art? What's the point? And then you see that like behind these campaigns is just some bigger company trying to make money. It's again marketing. And like I don't think obviously that's what's happening with the Boots Riley thing, but I do think it's just an interesting way to look at the attack of you're stealing, this is copying. And of course some people are just copying, but I don't know, to do anything as difficult as like make a short film, to do anything as difficult as to like create from A to Z.
I also think as an independent filmmaker, to be putting your resources and your time and your efforts into making something that's copied. Like, I guess I kind of understand when a conglomerate is stealing an idea. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're trying to pump out as many ideas as fast as they can for like the highest profit that they can do. And so for them to go, oh, this idea is resonating in a niche way, like we can make it bigger and better. Like,
like when H&M, when Zara, when they just like...
Right. Yeah. When Zara is stealing from an independent designer, that's because they see that design working and they can produce it at a bigger scale in a way that likely won't ever come back to bite them. For an independent creator to be putting independent fundraising and resources and time into like years of production on a project, and it's not even a project they're passionate about, they just like stole an idea, that just is preposterous.
It's a funny accusation to make. Mm-hmm. I wonder what's behind it, and I wonder who it helps. Unless, of course, it is like out and out being like, you know, a Zara ripping off a small designer.
Right.
Support for this show comes from Saint Germain Elderflower Liqueur.
Let's plan the perfect French Riviera afternoon on the patio. What are you wearing? Let's start there.
I've been wanting sandals for the summer, but I just haven't gotten around to getting them. But I would love to wear like a white linen, almost baby doll dress with like caramel or brown kind of strappy sandals.
Oh, you know what I would wear?
What?
I would wear flowy silky shorts and then like a flowy silky scarf in my hair.
Can I do that too?
Yeah, we can both wear flowy silky scarves in our hair and we can cheers.
Oh my gosh. And
with a Hugo Spritz.
Would you say a Hugo Spritz is a tricky thing to make?
No. I mean, it comes together as breezy and easy as the day is long. You're just going to mix sparkling wine, sparkling water, and some Saint Germain.
Ooh, and a little sprig of mint.
Sprig of mint. A bit of limo.
Gorgeous. I think I'm going to start growing mint right now so that next summer...
Oh my God, we can have it fresh plucked from the garden.
We can have a farm-to-table French Riviera moment.
Go to saintgermainliqueur.com to shop and explore recipes.
Enjoy responsibly.
Should we talk about Lizzo?
Yes. And I think like a perfect transition to Lizzo is this idea of when a cultural moment calls for a certain conversation.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when that cultural moment changes, but you can't change your own conversation? You know what I mean?
So to me, it's almost different.
Well, let's talk about what happened.
Okay, so Lizzo put out a new album.
Yeah.
It's called Bitch. And there has been very quiet chatter about it.
So her latest album sold 2,649 pure copy sales. It did not make the Billboard 200. It got under 2.7 million streams. Second week dropped to 650 units and just under 900,000 streams.
Okay, so for someone who has a record that recently went diamond, this is a significant underperformance. You know, Lizzo has gotten on social media and said a couple things about it.
Well, I want to say we covered, like, this album was supposed to come out last year, right?
Yeah.
This is like an already scrapped, already held back project. Like, they have been trying to figure out how to drop this album for like 2 to 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, she did a mixtape
that came out last summer and also was received by, I believe, a handful of crickets. There was a Vulture profile last year that we covered in the fall. And it's interesting because, like you said, Lizzo was kind of the face of a moment. I think that, like, when she knew who she was, it happened to coalesce with a moment. I don't think that she necessarily couldn't possibly have a hit song outside of that moment. I just think right now and this was my conclusion from the Vulture profile we read last year, I think that she is like operating completely outside of a sense of self right now. And you can hear it to me in her interview. You can hear it on this album. She is like so, I think, artistically lost. If her music now were to resonate, that would be completely by accident.
And it's just bizarre because, I mean, we'll listen to some real garbage.
Yeah.
You know, I came around on Dixie D'Amelio's Sometimes I Don't Want to Be Happy. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's kind of nothing I can't listen to 3 or 4 times and be like, meh, all right, I'll hum.
Well, this album, I listened to, I would say, 75% of it.
It was shockingly bad.
Well, I would say inconsistent on every single level. Between songs, it was inconsistent. I think the mix was treacherous.
I think it was missing entire, like, instruments.
Yeah, the mix was treacherous. Like the volumes on different.
No, but more than that, I feel like entire tracks got deleted.
Yeah.
Like I am like, there's like a lack of fullness here. I'm like, you're missing. I feel like half of it didn't get copied over. It's not stripped back. It's unfinished.
I was being smashed in the head by a piano that was being played by a toddler while she was like singing in the background to like a different beat. So that was tough to hear, I think. She is an artist. Like, she has an incredible voice. She can play instruments. We have seen her put out mixtapes that are good. We've seen her like have a musicality about her. I feel like she's completely like split down the middle. Like her center has been ripped out and there is nothing tying her to the work she's doing. She's just throwing things out and being like, this is what you guys want. Is this it? Is this it? Is this it? Is this it? Please tell me, is this it? And I think it's so fascinating how famous and how successful she is and how needy she is for public approval, because ultimately that is going to tear you away from being able to create really anything. If you're playing to the commenters, like obviously you're trying to make music for your audience, but you can't make music for TikTok commenters.
Yeah. I mean, aside from the album being bad, she claims it'll be appreciated in 5 years. Maybe we'll all come back and eat our words.
Yeah, I hope so.
Meet you here June 2031. Aside from it being bad, I listened to an interview she did with the Swiftologist.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting and it was odd because I do think the Swiftologist, like I really like his reviews of stuff. I know people have mixed feelings about him. I don't agree with everything he says, but God damn it, he's incredibly articulate and I think he means what he says and he throws his opinions out there. And I think a lot of the times I'm on his side.
Yeah. And if I'm not on his side, I think things.
If I'm not on his side, I listen, I disagree, and I keep swiping. It's just like not that deep to me. He's just a guy on YouTube. So it's really easy for me to like move on with my life. Which I'd recommend for anybody who gets really upset when somebody hates their fave. Anyway, he's interviewing Lizzo. And I will say something about the Swiftologist is he's like a deep Taylor Swift fan, but even he says some of Taylor Swift's stuff sucks. Like he's not a stan. He's a different kind of person. He's an obsessive, not a stan. He's interviewing Lizzo and pretending that this album was good, which was really bizarre. As an interview, I think it was very odd because even Lizzo says, I was like prepared for you to rip me to shreds. And he's like, well, I respect that you still came. And then at the end, he switches to kind of brand consultant. And I'm like, well, here's where you shine, because he's fucking right, Lizzo. What she should be doing is like just putting out a different genre of mixtape every summer till something hits.
Yeah,
and she finds herself.
She needs to be creatively cleaning the pipes.
Exactly. A juice cleanse of mixtapes.
Yeah, like shit them out.
Yeah, and then something's going to stick by accident, and then people forgive for your past injustices or whatever.
That's the thing is, okay, so one of the more harrowing moments in this interview is when Lizzo and the Swiftologist are discussing the Kia Asylum, which is named after an artist named Kaya, and it should be pronounced Kaya Asylum. And I actually find that disrespectful to correctly pronounce it because I think Kia Asylum dissociates Kaya from the Kia Asylum.
I think it works linguistically in that like it doubles down the meaning of the joke and that like someone's been so forgotten that we can't even remember their name. And also I think it's mean to name it after a person. I had always read it as a meme thinking they meant like a Kia car.
Me too. I thought it was a car dealership.
Like they couldn't sell you like you were a shitty car or something. I don't know. And it really makes no sense to me that like BB Rexa would be at a car dealership like singing to you. Like that visual makes so much sense.
It almost makes sense. Like, you know when a car dealership is having a party and they have like a block party musician and that person
is playing
is BB Rexa.
Yeah.
I almost feel like
Cara.
It's disrespectful to be like, no, it's named after this person. Let's make sure her name is the headline of like
Loserdom.
Flop City.
Can I say My Neck, My Back is an all-timer?
It's an all-timer. And I don't think it's necessary to, anyway.
I agree with you.
So I'm going to say Kia Asylum, and I want it to be clear going forward. I know it's the artist Kaya. I think it's more respectful to dissociate her.
Yeah. When we say Kia Asylum, what we mean is you've been like banished from pop music and you're now selling cars for a median sedan.
Or on a good day, performing at the car dealership party.
Where they're selling medium sedans.
Anyway, I believe they say mid-size.
Okay. I don't know shit about cars.
I know, because I did our car rental today. Anyway, so at one harrowing moment in this interview, Lizzo and the Swiftologist are talking about the people who say Lizzo is in the Kia Asylum, and Lizzo is arguing why she's definitely not. And I was like, If you have to fight and explain to people why you're not in the Kia Asylum, you're the president.
Yeah.
Like,
you're the dad who started the dealership.
Yeah, you're driving carpool, sister. I think you can't sit there and go like, I'm not flopping, here's why.
Yeah, as I come to this like podcast that like you know what I mean? I don't know. You can't have gone to the Swiftologist's place of work to defend yourself.
After they're sitting there discussing the viral TikTok, like the only thing that's gone viral about this album rollout is the TikTok Lizzo made where she was saying the record label wasn't doing enough for the album rollout.
So a couple moments that struck me is when she talks about how people try to insult her all the time, but actually she says they come for me, but like I think the exact quote is they haven't even made a dent. She says people's insults are often thinly veiled compliments and she takes them as such. That can't be true. That can't be right.
Because you know about them.
Because you're sitting here on the Swiftologist just defending yourself and saying you're not a flop and that people will like you. And also, it's just humanly dishonest to sit here and say that being sued by your backup dancers, no human being has ever been top of the world in their field and then unceremoniously ripped off that pedestal and like didn't even make a dent. That's crazy. And it's not true. And something I think the Swiftologist gave her a lot of credit for, more credit than she deserves, is Lizzo per Prince has this idea that she's only ever going to make positive music.
This is one that I want to talk about.
She said that when she made music with Prince, he said, we can only make positive music. And that's something she's taken with her. She wants to make music that makes people happy, but she's trying to acknowledge that life isn't always easy. So she's making positive music. And I think she is in the life of a showgirl trap. And something I really want to talk about that I'm so excited to mention, a few weeks ago, we talked about why is all the songs of the summer sad? And I think when we talk about the cultural conversation happening and the art coming out of it, she is just not of the moment in that for whatever reason right now, Ariana Grande is saying it's all bad news. Olivia Rodrigo saying you look pretty sad for a girl so in love. I just heard a Gracie Abrams song that's like life right now kind of sucks. Like Charlie XCX is sad. Everybody's sad right now in a way we can't explain. Spring, summer 26, the world's on fire, whatever.
I mean, we kind of can't explain it. But I also think that it speaks to the fact when she's sitting there saying, you know, sometimes I don't feel happy, sometimes it's hard, then make honest music. Like her music, if she were extremely happy, that's what I meant when I said her music is like selfless or like without a sense of self. It's not even that it's not of the moment. Like it isn't of the moment, but also because she's being so dishonest.
Yeah. And like there's this line where she says, this is the diary of an aspirational bad bitch. I mean, the lyricism's bad. Also, like, it just isn't true to say that it didn't hurt you. She says when the album flopped, she was sad for 24 hours and then got over it and realized that the numbers don't determine her success. And I'm like, first of all, they quite literally do. Maybe they don't determine your self-worth. Maybe they don't determine like how much you like your own music, your sense of pride and your artistry. But literal success
isn't a number.
Is the number, and the number was low. To say that you were sad for 24 hours and then you got over it is not true.
Yeah.
You spent 3 years trying to figure out how to roll out this album. You made a whole second album trying to avoid it, and you came back and it went bad.
Yeah, I guess I also just think generally you've been through hard things and you can't just sit here and go, I'm only going to smile and be happy. Like, I also didn't find the album expressly joyful.
It wasn't really anything. And then she talks about her weight loss journey, which she refers to as the weight release journey. And she does it so as to not let people down. And that's another one where I'm like, I don't know, man. You're lying.
Yeah.
You're fucking lying. And I know you're lying because we read your Substack about it and we read the comments on it and we see the way people felt. And you did before and after photos and you were doing juice cleanses. You're lying and we can tell. And I don't know that you can tell.
And this is what I mean by I think she lives too much in the comment section. I think, so when she's talking about her contemporaries, I almost forget that they are and should be considered her contemporaries because they act famous. Like when she's talking about SZA, when she's talking about these other artists, it's a hard balance to strike, right? Because as an artist, you can't lose touch from the world. That's the life of a showgirl trap, is like Taylor Swift is living on another planet. And I think she doesn't even know what people are saying, whereas Lizzo is so concerned with what every person is saying that I feel like she can't even think right now. Like she has no sense of artistry. She has no sense of self because she's so concerned about the comments and like what people are saying and making people happy and making sure she doesn't alienate people and making sure people feel supported by her and all these things where I'm like, you can't live that way and like create anything really. That's not healthy or helpful. To sit there going like the comment section is mad at me. Let me say what I can.
But it's also crazy because then she's sitting there saying like nothing affects me. Nobody hurts me. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then go home. Then why are you doing it?
And then she's saying, well, people said this. People said that. Who's people? Stop reading the comments.
But or read the comments and feel destroyed and respond to it.
Yeah.
But it is insane to be like, sometimes I post 12 videos in a day and I know what people are saying. And then she's really blaming the music industry, which I get that the music industry sucks. And it changes a lot. But I also am like, they talk about Olivia Rodrigo being like native to the platform of TikTok and how good she does on it. And I'm like, yeah, that's because people listen to the music and they like it.
Yeah. I mean, and then Lizzo saying how she used to pop off on TikTok. And, you know, she mentions that she's been on TikTok since the beginning and she did the Renegade dance and they showed it on Ellen. And I was like, why do you sound like a fan right now being like, they played my video on Ellen?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I don't think Lizzo like remembers that she's a celebrity.
But she does because she has such like ego about it, which I don't think is undeserved. Of course, she should be proud and she should have that ego, but it's like she's in a rock and a hard place because how do you stay as proud as yourself as you should be for having a diamond album and then also eat the fact that like 32 people listen to your new one?
Because now she's so like, she's like a vibrating aura around us, like a body, and she's not contained in any sense of self. And so I feel like it's impossible for her to create any art. Like listening to her talk about her work, it's so dishonest. She sounds so like she's putting on a persona in order to be on this podcast. Like it sounds so
It's funny because when you hear when you hear what the idea of the album is, joyful but acknowledging the hard parts, that should be what is working right now. And yet you hear her talking, you go, oh, you're like so out of touch.
Yeah.
You're actually sad but acknowledging the joy parts. That's who you actually are, and that's the music. Like that's
no, she's sad but making up the joy parts.
I don't know. Surely there's like a good time in her life.
I'm sure there's a good time in her life, but I also think she wants to be relatable. I feel like she can't even be like, at least I get to go on a fancy vacation. She has to be like, at least I have family. And I don't know that she cares. Anyway, so the problem is it sounds so detached to me and everything she says sounds detached. And then she'll like break out into song in a way where I'm like, oh, surely you know that this doesn't come across well. It was a really uncomfortable interview for me.
I would like to watch the Swiftologist review what everybody should be doing in their career.
Yeah,
to their
me
face.
too.
And I'd love for him to do it to me.
Yeah, me too.
Call me, Zach.
Yeah, I guess I just felt very saddened by Lizzo. And I feel that the Swiftologist is right that mixtapes and just like refinding a sense of self is the answer. Because I don't think Lizzo is forever flopped. I think that it's just right now.
Well, I think right now the big money in does not guarantee big money out.
Mm-hmm.
But to be at her level and be putting out an album of that size, big money must go in.
Mm-hmm.
So to prevent that, if you do these mixtapes, because things catch randomly.
Yeah.
And you kind of like can just like low level throw things at the fire and they won't like look at Obsession. Like we do live in this era of like something the music people said that Lizzo quoted was like the people decide what works these days. And I do think you have to like just be throwing kind of twigs into the flame and see what stokes.
She is an artist. Like refine your artistry.
Yeah. Someone who is not an artist but has found something. And I'm like actually nothing but impressed by the business acumen and like the rise of Olandria. And I'm excited to talk about it. And there's not a lot in this article, but a lot of people have been talking about her Cosmo cover and something she said in it. And I'm really excited to dive into who she is, what she's done, and how she's doing it.
So Olandria is on the cover of Cosmopolitan this month. Tell me what you found most notable. What's the internet taking away?
Well, I'll tell you who I know about Olandria.
Yeah.
I did not watch Love Island. I have not watched Love Island for a couple years now. It just doesn't seem like you guys are having fun.
It's not fun.
It feels very the worst straight couple you know trying to convince you that you should get married soon. And you're like, oh, so I could be like you, unhappy every day?
Can I say, I watched a couple episodes yesterday to catch up and I'm furious. I don't know why I fell for it. I was hanging out with some friends who are all caught up on it and they're talking about it. And so I wanted to catch up. And I'm so mad that I did. I'm so mad about everything everyone's saying.
It's like time consuming.
It's time consuming, but I have time. And then I see a take and I go, what planet are you people on the way? There is so much hate in y'all's hearts.
So anyway, I haven't partook,
And the hate in my heart is justified.
But I remember last year Ashley was telling me all about it. And I feel like Olandria was like a main one, but she wasn't the main one, right? I feel like she wasn't the name I was hearing.
Emerged post Villa as kind of like the main one.
No, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm saying during the season of Love Island, she wasn't like a Molly May type.
No.
I feel like Molly May came in a bombshell day 2, was on top, stayed on top, left on topper.
Yeah.
And is now, getting cheated on at the top, which is what we can all strive to be.
Wearing nothing but Pretty Little Thing.
And all white. Anyway, Olandria, I feel like kind of came out and really crushed it. And she just became like an image icon. I feel like she really showed up at every event, looked the best. I feel like she was nothing but momentum on top of a momentum.
Yeah.
But I have always been, from a place of respect, curious about how she pulled that off. I have always wondered, like, what were the moves that she made to differentiate herself from the pack? She says in here at one point, like, other people go to the club first. I went to colleges first. And I was like, interesting. Obviously, she came up with a great team. Obviously, she came up with a great strategy. Obviously, she had what it took. I've heard she used to do pageants. Like, she knows how to come out and like win a moment and win an event and win a carpet. But next to being impressed, I've also been curious as to where it's all going.
Right.
That's my personal feeling. The discourse has made me wonder. I know that, as I said before, she got stans. And I know she's part of Nick Olandria. Nick is her boyfriend that she met on Love Island. They are together. I don't know anything about these people except for that I know if you question them, you'll be murdered. And I know that there's probably reason to question if they're still together because they're not very public.
Yeah. I guess, okay, so the thing that I find interesting generally about the questioning them is that it comes twofold. One is questioning whether or not they're still together, which they don't go out in public together. Not that they don't go out in public together that often, but oftentimes they'll do red carpets alone. A lot of times when she has a major event, it's her showing up there at this major event. It's not like every public outing is a duo outing. They're very much, I don't even want to say their own brands because I'm not sure what brand he's building for himself necessarily.
Whereas, I don't know what he is outside of dating Olandria.
Right, but she is very much something outside of dating Nick.
Yes, and I think it's brilliant. If they are in fact together, I think that's so smart.
Just in
to
case
be like,
they're not
I'm
forever.
building, like, I'm not building a couple's brand a la Tommy and Molly.
Yes.
I am building my brand, and he happens to also be my boyfriend.
Right. But that being said, the second level of questioning that happens is, were they ever together? Is this a real relationship? And this is something we see constantly on Love Island and is happening right now with Trinity and Bryce, people calling them scammers, people saying this is Scam Island. They're not even really a couple. They're just trying to win the prize. And my big question in that regard is,
You can't have a prize if you don't want people to try to win.
also, what's the prize really? Do you know what I like? At this point, Nick and Olandria are not making appearance money as a duo. Like, they're not being rewarded necessarily. I mean, you can argue with me if you want about like whether or not them being a couple has that much value, but generally, I feel like this idea that people are like so conniving and scheming as to like look happy and joyful and hug and kiss each other and like actually have like ultimately Love Island, you win $100,000 to split. You also exit the villa if you make it to the end with usually upwards of 500,000 followers on Instagram, which per post is worth more than $50,000.
To say you're in it for the money, everyone who's doing this show at this point is in it for the money, and the money is not the island money, it's the fame money.
Right. And you can make fame money without having a couple on the island. There are people who walk into that villa for a couple of days who walk out with a career. So like,
look at that Irish one,
Maura Higgins.
She
did make it to the end, but still, I agree. This idea that like this couples are scams themselves, I guess I am like, why would anyone do that?
Can I say I know why somebody would do it?
Right.
Because you want to be liked. I think more than the $50,000, it's wanting to be liked, and being liked helps your whatever. But I also am like, what's the scam? Who fucking cares?
Yeah. Also, I guess if
you guys didn't go to people's houses with guns because you didn't like them on a game show, they wouldn't be so fucking scared to be themselves.
I also just generally think that what people like about Nick and Olandria is that like Nick really seems to revere Olandria. Like he has this incredibly beautiful girlfriend that he acknowledges is incredibly beautiful, and he's like nice to her. And that's also what's happening right now in the villa with Bryce and Trinity is like Bryce is not the only guy in there, but one of the few men in there who's not being like mean to the women. And so I am like, I don't know if this scam is being respectful, then like I wish all men were scammers.
The other reason I wanted to look at this article is because she's pretty well loved. And I think maybe people dislike her, but I think for the most part, the internet, I know to stay away from ever having a conversation about her because like, I think the internet is dominated by Olandria stans. And as is evident by the fact that she's had so much success, she's come so far. Love Island was not even a full year ago. We're in the midst of the season right now. Like in 1 year, she has become huge. She's on the cover of Cosmo from one season of a reality show a year ago. So she's huge. I knew that she was beloved, but I did see that this week she had something, this Cosmo article that got pushed back for the first time. So the thing she said, and we'll circle back to it later because I want to go through the whole thing, but they're talking about why is it important for you to keep parts of your relationship private, and how do you decide what belongs to the public versus what belongs to just you? So she basically says, I keep me and Nick private because some people have opinions and it's good for us. If you care about something, you should keep it offline. When you post too much, they think you're monetizing and faking it. When you don't post at all, they can't tell if y'all are together. There's no winning. Cosmo asks, I've seen people speculate, like, are they together or not? Olandria said this. Why is it your business? Are your bills getting paid? Are you touch deprived? Go get a man. Go do something with your life. Why does it matter if me and Nick are together? Even when we were at Coachella, people in the comments were like, oh, I just needed proof that they saw each other this week. Why are you so invested in people that don't know you? That part kind of creeps me out because I'm never that invested in someone's relationship, and I'm not living for the internet. I don't always post what people want me to or always do what people want me to do. People obviously were frustrated for this for the obvious reason of, what do you mean? Why do we care? You got famous less than a year ago on a show called Love Island, where we were quite literally invested in you finding this relationship.
Right.
The launch pad of your career,
which is
your
new.
Little baby career, which is a big boy, like a big baby. It's like that baby that was covered in dust that one time on the bed. Do you remember that? That too big baby. Do you remember?
No.
Anyway, this was years ago and it was huge.
Okay.
Anyway, the point is, it came from less than a year ago. You were in a relationship. So then I saw people defending her and saying Cosmo took her out of context. If you read the whole article, it makes sense.
I mean,
I just read the whole context. People are like, she's addressing specifically the haters. And I don't think it's considered a hater if you're asking if the person that you met on Love Island in a relationship. I don't think that that's hating, and I think it's valid, and I don't think she's out of context, and I don't think this article makes her look bad. And I think people are right. I think she is ready and has leveled up, and she's annoyed at the like lip service she has to pay to the bullshit birth of how she got here, because she is so far above it. But I do think it's the small slip up and her like perfect PR strategy of like what we were just saying with Lizzo. To get bigger, you have to perform being big. To perform being big, what should your relationship be with the small part of you?
Yes. And I think that in this article, I found it really fascinating the way that, like you said, she did pageants. Like there was a preparedness. And I think she exemplifies what I feel like people won't acknowledge with like Nepo babies and things like that, where a door opens in a variety of ways. And it's the people who are prepared to stand in the place they hope to be that make it. You know what I mean? Like the way that she can come out of Love Island, like a lot of people deal with reality stardom in very different ways. And her saying, I am high fashion. I mean, the way people were like furious that she wasn't at the Met Gala, that is incredible. It's incredible that 1 year out of Love Island, people are like, it's absolutely unreasonable that she is not at the Met Gala. In fact, was she at the Met Gala? I honestly don't
she wasn't, but she was at the Golden Globes.
Yeah. When big things are happening in Hollywood, people are mad that Olandria is not there. On behalf of her stans, I also think it's interesting. And to me, it shows this like level of control, which is what I think she's fighting, that people both want her to represent this relationship as who she is, but they also are like, she's so much bigger than a relationship. But it's because they want to dictate what she is.
So this is such an interesting paragraph to me at the end of the intro from the interviewer. The dedication of her supporters, known as Olandria Nation and Ola Dolls, redefined reality TV stardom. They not only bought space on a Times Square billboard to ring in her 28th birthday, but also fiercely campaigned for this very Cosmolandria moment. How did she pull this off? How did she so quickly level up from her reality star start?
Well, I think it looks like what she did is she just didn't ever play the game of trying to graduate from reality star. She said, I have 15 minutes of fame. I'm going to use that to place myself where I hope to be, and I'll either stick or I'll not stick.
Because you remember one of the first things she did was that we talked about on this podcast? She was in that chicken fashion show.
Yeah.
Which who knew? I will say she had the foresight then. Raising Cane's and Olandria both looked at each other and said,
we're meant for so much more.
I always think about when, who's the makeup by Mario?
Yeah.
Remember when he did Kim Kardashian's makeup when she was young? And he's like, I bet on her. And my agent said, don't go do this reality star's makeup. It's beneath you. And he's like, I believed in her and we believed in each other ever since. I'm like, I feel like Olandria and
Raising Cane's are the same.
They went from being like, oh, fast food, reality TV to I'm like, I think Raising Cane's paid for the Oscars this year.
They definitely did the Super Bowl, I think.
I think it's like Raising Cane's Harvard's university. And Olandria similarly is people are like, well, why wouldn't she
It's Olandria's Met Gala.
It's Olandria's Met Gala and it's Raising Cane's
I think people
NASA.
were pissed that Olandria wasn't like a chair of the Met Gala.
They were like, she's the exhibit. We should have a fashion exhibit of everything Olandria has worn the last 9 months.
The other day she was on a red carpet and then people showed a photo of her wearing a similar dress on Love Island and they were like, I love that she honors her Love Island. I was like, I think that it's just like
there's only so many dresses in the world.
Like
especially
when you wear
you're
gowns
that hot.
1 to 4 times a week, there's only so many gown shapes.
Something that she said that really I got a tickle is she was like talking about the honor of representing girls who look like her. And I know obviously she means Black women, but I am like, look like you. Who? Itty bitty waist, giant knockers, perfect face. Who looks like that? That's the point.
The thing that I found very interesting about her trajectory and her success that to me is in response, I think, looking at this article versus discussing Lizzo, is the way that she, first of all, says that she was asked to be on Love Island a couple of times.
Yeah, she turned it down twice.
And then the third year said, okay, I'm ready for it.
How did they, sometimes I go, wow, I guess casting agents are good at their job.
Yeah, I think they are. I think you'd be good at a casting agent. The way you can find a hot girl.
Yeah, I can get on TikTok and find the hottest girl with the craziest ideas.
And like 7 followers.
I'm like, this one is a kook. And she's working at it.
The thing that I think makes her so effective as a reality star who is in transition and like potentially going to be very famous. I mean, obviously right now she's still in the echo of Love Island. But I think that she has enormous potential.
I mean, obviously.
Well, no, obviously. But like, I guess I feel you never know. You never know who's going to have like a hot 3 years and then we'll never see them again. The thing that I think was very important in her trajectory is the fact that, first of all, she waited. I think she had a real job before she went on Love Island. I think it like prepares you for a level of like the world that you need. But then also I think there's something that you can't possibly prepare for. You just have to have it. And she has it.
Okay, so she has a couple lines that I want to pull about how did she figure out how to do this? Like what was her strategy? She talked about leaving Love Island, having 2 million followers. She quit her job and she's like, I still had rent. I still had a car note. I had to make it work. The pressure was on and I didn't know where to start. I went into the villa with very low expectations and I expected to go back to my job. The very first thing I went to after the show wasn't a club gig. No offense to anybody who does that. I went straight to schools and started pushing education, something I don't ever see anybody my age doing. This is so interesting to me because I'm also like, obviously she was dead right, but what a genius branding move that still I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like what does it mean you went to schools and just started pushing the idea of school? Even because so she's like, I was doing these student talks. She's like, everyone wants to be a streamer or a content creator, make millions of dollars, but no one wants to go to school. So I go to these colleges. I have sold out talking sessions for students. And I am like, but what are you talking to these students about? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think in terms of she understands deeply. She has like a Kardashian. I think of her as like the next gen Kardashian in terms of she inherently understands the importance of image and of like the article. And if there's articles saying she was at this school, here's an image of her talking to students, it just elevates the brand and she doesn't even need to know where it's going. She's just building. And when she swoops, there'll be power there. So I think that's a really smart thing. Even though you might say, what does that even mean? It doesn't matter. All that matters is how does it look?
I mean, and that's the thing is I also think ultimately what she has to say to those students is the thing that made her go talk to those students. It's like an understanding of what it means to build a brand and an identity. And she has this line in it. She says, I deserve every single thing I have. I'm not winning because I'm sitting and waiting for it to fall in my lap. I'm advocating for myself, networking, and trying to ignore the hate all at once. When I win, I want you to feel like you've won. I never want it to come off as me trying to smear in someone's face. I think this is a crucial element of what makes her successful is that she is trying.
Yeah.
Like she has put forth an effort to convey a certain image. And I think that there are a lot of young people who like see content creation, influencer, streamer as career paths that they think just happen. Like even in comedy, we know people who've been doing this for years who kind of think at some point you just become successful or you don't. Like there are a lot of people who don't acknowledge the effort and like the image architecting that goes in
she's
to being
architect.
A successful public person. I think there are a lot of people who think, I mean, like you say all the time when it comes to like styling, you always go, I always forget that the people who put together great outfits have been practicing putting together great outfits. Like it's not just one person who inherently dresses better than everyone else. Maybe they do have a great eye, but like there are things that take effort. And I think that her awareness of the effort and the direction that is required is what sets her apart and like what she has to tell people.
Yeah, and I also think she doesn't show the effort. Like she acknowledges it here in the interview, but I think it's important that like compared to the Lizzo thing, like we don't see her trying, we see her succeeding. So you think of her as a success. And you want to work with successful people and you want to hire successful people. And I think image architect is exactly right. She says she wants to go back to reality TV, but only if she can be the executive producer. And I think that's what she's doing right now. She's like in this building phase of when you have the followers and the clout and the PR, then you get to dictate what you do next. And so it's like she's building control and image to better build her control and image when she does whatever the business is.
Mm-hmm. I almost think ultimately going to the schools instead of to the club, obviously that has a ring to it. But I think ultimately what it does is it shows her driving, because I think a lot of people come out of reality TV or opportunities in general that like kind of put you on the map, seeing what opportunity will be offered to them next. And like she distinctly didn't do that. Like no matter what she did, if it isn't the first thing she was offered, it shows effort and it shows like direction and planning.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's so intentional. And then she says, I see myself continuing to be a household name and building on what I already have. I want to own multiple businesses and properties and have my own scholarship fund. I want to be big, and I believe all the things I was able to accomplish in these 10 months are only a testament to what's to come. I agree, but it is so funny that it's like, but what is it? But it is like, I think she'll be like a Kardashian. She will be.
She'll have a
brand who is a business. And I think she's being very smart about not having it yet.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where she goes.
Yeah, me too. I think she's really interesting and extremely beautiful. And I think it's really smart to not have her boyfriend at the center of it because ultimately, I think nobody knows what will work out until they know. At this point, they've been together for less than a year. I think to put him at the center of it builds a world around the two of them. And I think while they're figuring out their relationship as like two young people who don't have to stay together forever, I think it's really smart to not move in with someone before you know if you're going to move to the next level.
Okay, should we get to our meat and potatoes?
Yeah. We are talking about Olivia Wilde. She was The Cut's cover star. She did an interview with The Cut and has a movie that just came out called The Invite. And I think it just kind of is a great opportunity to take a look at Olivia Wilde and say, a couple of years ago, people were really mad at her. What's up with that?
Yeah, mostly around the "Don't Worry, Darling" thing. So we'll get to that. We'll get to the bottom of it. The Jason Sudeikis. It's not a coincidence that this all happened at the same time. And I think when you start to look at the big picture pieces, it really comes together and makes sense. But I do want to start with who she is. She's 42. Her name's Olivia Jane Cockburn. She goes by Olivia Wilde because of Oscar Wilde, which is very 18 years old of her. But I get it. You can't become an actress named Cockburn. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's like,
there are certain last names that I go, how did this not get phased out yet?
Yeah. Like, why did her mom take Cockburn on?
Yeah. You can pick the name of your kids.
She comes from like a intellectual Nepo family. Her dad is Andrew Cockburn. Her mom is Leslie Cockburn. They're both journalists. Her mom was a producer at 60 Minutes. Her dad was like a famous British journalist. Her grandfather, Claude Cockburn, was a journalist who like worked with Ernest Hemingway. She does come from quite an intellectual family. She went to Phillips Exeter Academy, which is like one of the fanciest, most elite boarding schools. And then she, instead of going to college, wanted to go out to be an actress. And her dad was like, fine, you have a year to see if you can make it work and then go to school. And then, of course, she did make it work. Also at 19, she married an Italian prince named Tao Ruspoli. He was a prince and a filmmaker, like 8 or 9 years older than her.
I think prince was like a loose concept, right?
Yeah, but he is from like this famous aristocratic family who has a castle, and his parents were well known and his mom was you know what I mean? Like, and he is a filmmaker. And I do think it is important to know that like Olivia Wilde was at 19 years old, a gorgeous, well-educated, intellectual, successful woman who married a filmmaking prince and thought of herself as a bohemian who like lived in a van.
Yes. They lived in a bus in Venice. That was a big part of her story. I remember when I first found out about her, that was like a real central part of it is that because I was a big house watcher.
Because her first big thing was The OC. She was Alex Kelly, a bisexual bar owner who was 19.
Yes. Then she joined House, where she played 13, a new intern.
And also bisexual.
Yeah, a bisexual intern with Huntington's disease.
She was like the first known bisexual cast actress. She was just always being cast as a bisexual.
Yeah. I remember when she got House is when I think she really started getting like featured. People were talking about her as like a famous person, whereas I think she definitely made waves on The OC. But I remember reading an article about like, did you know she's a princess?
In 2009, she was named Maxim's hottest woman in the world.
Yes.
I listened to her Call Her Daddy interview, and I'm very interested in the way she talks about this.
Yeah.
And then in 2011, her and Tao get a divorce. She leaves House to pursue an acting career. She's not in anything
movie career.
Yeah, a movie career. She's not super successful. But in 2011, she starts dating Jason Sudeikis like right away. It was a big deal who she was dating at the time.
Yes.
She was like seen dating everybody. Justin Timberlake. She was seen dating Salman Rushdie.
He's got a real list of babes, huh?
Yeah. Any hot girl who wants to be taken seriously will try to see if they can fuck Salman Rushdie into being taken seriously, which is like a really great gig if you can get it. You know what I mean? May we all be the hideous man that hot girls fuck to prove they're smart.
Sexually transmitted seriousness.
Keep bouncing on it. Bounce your way to a PhD. In 2013, Jason Sudeikis proposes to her. They never end up getting married, but they're like wildly in love. They end up having 2 kids. I do want to quote something that she talks about. So she did this vagina monologue type thing. So Olivia presents this speech at a night of monologues by Glamour magazine at Joe's Pub. It's called Olivia Land. In Olivia Land, relationships can legally only last 7 years without an option to renew. That way, it never goes stale. Can you imagine if we only had 7 years? We'd be so nice to each other, so kind and appreciative and enthusiastic. Like we were eating a really expensive bowl of pasta.
I remember this.
And in Olivia land, people wouldn't cheat nearly as much because there wouldn't be threat of spending forever with one bedfellow. It just wouldn't be legal. There's the issue of kids. Okay, this is the fun. In Olivia land, all the kids go to boarding school at 7. It's like Harry Potter. I would like to legalize prostitution. Hiring a sex worker in Olivia land would be as easy, hygienic, and inexpensive as getting a pedicure. That way, when away on business or just not in the mood, we could just hire a hooker for our loved one and keep them uninterested in cheating and keep them satisfied. These particular hookers would obviously have to be mute and possibly cross-eyed. In Olivia land, the streets are paved with dark chocolate and all the people are free of body hair and menstrual cramps.
What year was this?
2012.
That
At which
feels
point,
right.
her and Jason Sudeikis, she said they fuck like Kenyan marathoners. She also had this whole other thing about how in her old relationship, her vagina died. She said, I felt like my vagina died, turned off, lights out. And you can lie to your relatives at Christmas dinner and tell them everything on the home front is just peachy, but you cannot lie to your vagina. What followed her divorce was a man-eating sex bender that ultimately left her feeling so lonely she considered a soft kind of lesbian relationship, just gentle kissing and scissoring. Until she met Jason, and now they are blissfully, hopefully, wildly in love.
She met Jason 1 year after that.
I guess they finalized their divorce in 2011, but she started dating Jason Sudeikis in December of 2011. And in that time, she dated a bunch of people. Yeah, I guess it's not too hard to date when you're like a super smart, horny, sexiest woman in the world.
Famous.
She was 26 when she met Jason Sudeikis, who was 35.
I want to talk about that later.
Okay, so that I just think that that's like such an interesting thing.
I don't want to hold her to that writing.
I don't want to hold her to that writing, except for that she still is very like anti-marriage and she still doesn't believe like it can last. I'm going to just like put my cards on the table of like, I feel like something that I'm like too Christian about. Not Christian, but I feel very frustrated by people who are like, well, my marriage lasted 7 years. So I guess the best way for the whole world to go is to have a marriage that only lasts 7 years.
Yeah. Can I say in support as someone who's not even in a relationship right now, but hopes to be married someday? I do think that marriage can last forever. Sorry if that's Christian of me. I guess I really do think that like there is such thing as
a working relationship.
Yeah, a working relationship, love that lasts. I don't think everyone has to have it. And I don't think that there's any shame in divorce or having a non-lasting relationship or having a relationship that you never get married, but you have like a long enduring partnership and then you break up. Like none of these things are a problem, but this idea that long-term marriage doesn't exist. And if anyone does it, it's because they have like a dried up, miserable vagina. I don't agree. And I've never even tried it. I want to believe.
And I agree with you that I would not hold her to this.
Yeah.
Except for that on the Call Her Daddy episode that just came out a couple weeks ago. She still like talks about her marriage when she was 19 as like a good example of why marriage doesn't work and how she doesn't believe in it. I'm like, well, you got engaged again. And now she even says, she's like, I'm an optimist. You know, like when people say they're getting married, I'm like, yeah, good luck with that. But she does have this idea that she's seen it all. I guess she's had 2 boyfriends.
Yeah.
And according to her, it doesn't work. And
She's had 3 boyfriends.
Who's the third one?
Harry Styles.
Oh, yeah. True. But I just feel like she still talks about that first marriage as if it's like a good college try at a marriage. I'm like, I guess it was. It was like instead of going to college, you like tried marriage.
Yeah.
And I guess I do feel very frustrated that she still like maintains that as like a real look. I don't think anybody 19 should be married, to be honest.
Because of that relationship being something that she presents as this like, I agree with her that it's like kind of this like fun bohemian rebellion to get married at 19. But that is just like your college boyfriend ultimately.
Exactly.
It's not, you have not really tried marriage. Just because you were married doesn't mean it was an adult relationship.
Okay, so I have a couple other things I want to pull in about this. I find that line, you can lie to your parents at Christmas, but you can't lie to your vagina. I don't know. I guess I'm just like not a liar. So I'm always shocked when people are like pretending things are better than they are. Not that I'm not a liar, but I just am so like transparent and like comedy brain that I'm like, great, something's going wrong in my life. Content. Why would you lie about that? You could make a fucking TikTok. But I also was reading this article, this interview she does in 2011, where she's looking at that divorce and she's talking about how it was like actually good because it was so humbling. And it was like the first time in her life she kind of learned she wasn't perfect. And she jokes that
she thought getting married at Burning Man at 19 years old was like a sign of her ongoing perfection.
And I could see why, yes.
Because he's a prince.
Because he's a prince and then she became successful. And I think there is this sense of like, it all works out for me. Everything about me is interesting and beautiful. And like what she said in this is she's talking about how the director of House is like, you should get divorced every year. Your acting's never been better. And here she is doing this interview, 26 years old, being like, well, now that I'm on the other side of a trauma, I guess she's 28 in the interview, but she's like, now that I'm on the other side of a trauma, I am like, have a depth and I understand, and I'm not even pretending to be perfect anymore. But there's, I guess, and I don't hold it against her because I think she's in the Alicia Keys realm of there are some people who are just better than you.
Yeah.
And I do think mostly Olivia Wilde is one.
Yeah.
And I do think she is probably very smart, and she's obviously so beautiful. And she obviously did say, I'm going to leave my prestigious boarding school. And instead of going to college, I'm going to become an actress, and immediately did. And then she got married and he was the prince. They were bohemian filmmakers and she was a successful actress. And guess what? She's also the sexiest woman in the whole world. I do think she was just like rolling with the W's.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, obviously they broke up, but like she bounced back quickly. She's like, I don't know. Like I think she did believe and had ample reason to believe she is better than other people.
Right.
Which is fair. As I always say, there's a lot of people better than me.
Yeah. No, she is better than us.
For sure. Like I think that is who she is.
Yeah.
And I think that that's fine. It's only a problem if you're wrong.
Right. I think something I found frustrating, speaking of her perfection, and unfortunately, we're going to get into the territory of my general, like, Emrata criticism too, is like feigned struggle.
Or even just, she is another, like, I'm a woman and I'm doing it for the women. And it is interesting to look at this timeline and go, oh, at 19, you got married. You got divorced, immediately found your next life partner who you had children with. And then, I mean, we'll get into the timeline of the Jason Sudeikis divorce, but some were saying she did not leave Jason Sudeikis till she was already dating Harry Styles, which is, again, some people would say big old W's.
What I was going to say in terms of feigned struggle is in the Alex Cooper interview, she is talking about being named Maxim's sexiest woman in the world.
Oh my God, I picked up on this too and it drove me I picked it out to Max specifically. I could pull out my phone.
Prove it. Prove to me
no,
that
I made
you
it a note.
noticed.
I made it a note.
She's talking about the way that she did not always her entire life feel like she was the most attractive girl in the room. So being
more than that, she kind of
says,
suggests that she goes, well, I went from like not being the pretty girl in high school.
Right.
She just says that she wasn't pretty or chosen in high school. And so even though she kind of regrets being the Maxim hottest girl, it's hard to like be chosen by people at this level and not say yes.
She very specifically also says that she was surprised that like her features have now aligned to make her the prettiest one. Like she acts almost as if that hasn't consistently been the case. Like she doesn't say she was ever considered ugly, but she says she has features that were not considered the most beautiful features. And then now here she is being named the hottest girl. And she's like, it was very surprising to me.
Maybe she did mean literally. Maybe she's like, when I was in high school, people thought Angelina Jolie was the most beautiful girl. So it was surprising to me. Then a few years later, I was the most beautiful girl. Maybe she meant in high school she was considered like the second most beautiful girl.
Yeah, I guess when she's talking about the features that she has that weren't considered beautiful and now are, I kind of want to be like, which ones?
Yeah, point to them.
Is it your gigantic blue eyes and your perfect
she has,
face? Like,
I mean, when was Keira Knightley famous?
Yeah, I guess it's hard for me to imagine which thing about her hasn't always been considered beautiful unless she's gotten like major reconstructive surgery and she hasn't always looked like that. And like, of course, people's faces develop as they get older. But I guess I generally think that if you look like the way she looked at 19, which we know what that looked like, we've seen pictures of it and footage. I guess I can't imagine her being that much uglier than that.
And that's exactly what I said to Matt. Okay, you know what I said to Matt? Because I was very frustrated with like, she's talking about being Maxim's cover girl and she really has to couch that award and this idea that it was like the end of this journey struggle. And of course she looks back and she almost acts like she like if they had offered it to her today, she'd turn it down. But at the time, after coming out of these high school years of not being pretty and not being chosen, it did feel good. And I turned to Matt and I said, well, that's obviously not true. And Matt kind of was like, well, you don't. And I go, you do not come from an intellectual family, go to Phillips Exeter Academy, and then go straight to Hollywood at 18 because you aren't every day of your life told you're the most beautiful girl. She's clearly an intellectual. She's clearly a creative. She now is a director. I think what happens to a lot of women is they want to be part of filmmaking. They don't know the way in. And if they're pretty enough, they go, oh, you can be an actress. I know a lot of female comedians who started out as a comedian's girlfriend because like there is this thing for women to be part of like serious modes. I think a lot of times they don't know they're allowed, so they find these other ways in. And I think for a lot of people who want to be a filmmaker, you want to be a part of a movie, and you're told every day you're pretty, you move to LA to become an actress. You don't do that unless everybody every day of your life has done, you're so beautiful, you could be in movies.
Yeah, I guess those gigantic blue ass eyes. I'm like, when was this ugly?
Yeah, when was
like she has certain features where I'm like, these aren't things that like you developed into. It's not like you have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she doesn't have a look about her that I'm like, when could this have been ugly?
No, as I also called that out. I was like, well, this is bullshit. Anyway, the reason the Call Her Daddy interview and the Cut interview are so interesting is because she is coming out of like 4 years of being kind of persona non grata. If you remember the Don't Worry Darling drama, it happened right at the same time as her separation from Jason Sudeikis, the father of her 2 children, and her relationship with Harry Styles.
Yes. Just to fast forward through her life and her career really quick, she is married to the Italian Prince filmmaker. They get divorced. She starts dating Jason Sudeikis. They have 2 kids. Throughout this entire time, she's acting very consistently. She did leave TV to be a movie star. She was in some movies. She definitely stayed like fairly prominent. I don't know that she was the mega star of any movies, but then she started directing, and her directorial debut, Booksmart, came out in 2019 and was extremely successful, not box office wise necessarily, but as a directorial debut, it was, I would say, pretty universally celebrated. I think it's an incredible movie. I think she did an incredible job as a director. I think as a directorial debut, like I think it's one of those movies that when it came out, I remember being like, yeah, this was a hole in the market. This is like a great version of a great high school girl movie.
So she becomes a director. Her and Jason Sudeikis break up in 2020, but that is after the drama with Don't Worry Darling. So here's what happened. We've read a lot of sources, a lot of reports, and then there was like actually like an incredible thread on Reddit about it that pulls from the fact that later Jason and Olivia's nanny sued them and did this like tell-all with the Daily Mail. So that's where all this comes from. So apparently, she wanted Harry Styles to be the star of Don't Worry Darling after she saw him in Dunkirk. It wasn't going to work out because of his tour schedule. So then she gets Shia LaBeouf. Apparently, this was a tough thing to cast because they wanted a star for the power, but most men in Hollywood aren't down to play second fiddle. And it would have been, it's number 2 on the call sheet after Florence Pugh. Not a lot of men wanted to do it.
I find that so interesting.
Well, I think a lot of men wanted to do it. Not a lot of famous men wanted to do it.
I know.
I think they wanted a number 1 on the call sheet to play number 2.
I still find that so interesting because I just think there's so many famous women who are number 2.
I can't fucking go around in circles and explain to you about misogyny, Ashley.
I know.
You need to have like done the reading.
I know. I just think it's so funny to me when people say that Hollywood is like feminine. What I think is important is that there was a lot of, I feel, buzz and fanfare going to Don't Worry Darling because people were very fascinated by how she could be so pretty and like a good director. And I think people wanted her to not be a good director.
Well,
after she had her first success.
So what happens is then, and it takes a while to sort out why, Shia LaBeouf exits the film. In September, it's announced that actually because COVID, and this is so fucking critical, you have to remember that this was COVID 2020, primo COVID time. Olivia Wilde is one libtard, and they are making a movie at the height of a disease.
Yes.
Amongst COVID protocol. So he exits. It's September. Harry Styles now can make the movie because his tour had been shut down for COVID reasons. Everyone's happy. What had been happening simultaneously, they say, is that Jason and Olivia had been in trouble for a while because he was cheating on her.
Jason was cheating.
The rumor is that Jason Sudeikis was cheating with his current ex, Keely Hazel, who was a bikini swimwear model that worked on a movie with him in 2012 and then went on to write on Ted Lasso and was the basis for the character named Keely, which feels
spot on.
She actually later says she was supposed to play Keely, but that she was cast. Eventually, they give it to Juno Temple, which I don't know Keely for real, but Juno Temple was amazing, and I'm glad she's getting her minute. Olivia Wilde had known for a while that Jason had been cheating, and she was obviously upset about, which is reasonable. The rumor is, and this rumor comes from the nanny who was told by Jason, at a cast party in October, she kissed Harry Styles and told him she was single.
Yes.
Her and Jason had not officially broken up yet. She was living in a hotel filming Don't Worry Darling because of COVID protocol. She couldn't be home with her children. However, it turns out she was really living with Harry. It was supposed to be a hookup, but it got very serious. They were kind of together. And according to the nanny, a lot of the timeline clarifying stuff is not Olivia being worried that the audience will think she's a cheater. It's that she didn't want Harry to know that he had been an affair partner at first. He had always thought that she was single.
Okay.
In November, Jason Sudeikis finds out about the Harry and Olivia stuff because she left her Apple Watch at home and sees texts that Olivia had made Harry her special salad dressing.
I've heard of the salad dressing.
He thought that was for them. He didn't know that that was something that she could just make for almost any salad. He apparently goes ballistic about it, starts chasing her around with a bat. This is Jason Sudeikis, Ted fucking Lasso, if you can believe it. Starts chasing her around with a bat around the home, videoing her, trying to get her to admit to the affair. She's saying, I'm scared of you, I'm scared of you. And he's saying, if you're so scared of me, then why leave me home with the kids?
Oof.
He then lies underneath her car so that she cannot leave because he doesn't want her to go meet up with Harry. The nanny, purportedly, I guess is all, apparently, allegedly, has texts from Jason being like kind of like blubbering about it the next day and her being like, this is kind of stressful for me, actually. But she seems to be on his side. Anyway, they officially separate at that point.
November.
Yes.
Okay.
In January 2021, they are photographed together, Harry and Olivia Wilde, at a manager's wedding. They're holding hands. I'm sure you recall she's wearing a flowery dress and like a headband. Do you remember that? And
I don't remember the headband, but I remember the dress.
If you saw it, you would. It's kind of ugly. They're holding hands. It's a big deal. So people are upset now for a couple of reasons. So we have to back up. When they said that Shia LaBeouf was fired, he sends Olivia Wilde an email that he then shares with Vulture. And unfortunately, even though he's a psychopath, it looks like this part of it is legit, claiming that he was not fired from Don't Worry Darling, that he actually left of his own accord because there was not ample rehearsal time for the actors. He shares with Vulture the email he sent her like August 17th, that's very long, and essentially saying, I wish you well. He sounds very rehabbed, but like not well, but like knowing language. He's like, I have a 5-month-old baby. Me and Mia are happy. I'm stable. I wish you the best because I'm sober. But you need to take back this lie that you fired me. That's not the truth. I know it's like very cloudy right now to say that you fired me for like social justice warrior purposes, but it makes me sad to think my daughter will read untruths about me. So this is in the shadow and the wake of FKA Twigs coming forth and saying that she was in an abusive relationship and that Shia LaBeouf abused her.
Yeah. So that came out in 2020 as well.
Yeah. So that comes out. Shia's still in this movie. He ends up getting fired. Olivia says on record, well, we fired him because I have a no assholes policy. And he takes umbrage with this. And unfortunately for her, he shares texts with her that suggest that they did in fact meet and parted ways.
And he has, this video or this audio recording of her.
It's a video recording. It's her face while she's driving.
Asking him to reconsider.
And in it, she says, unfortunately, she goes, let's try to make this work. I think this will be a bit of a wake-up call for Miss Florence Pugh. And then goes on to be like, if you're willing to make it work, we can make it work. If I can promise she'll commit to it, would you commit to it? Which unfortunately makes it look like he was telling the truth, that he was not fired because he was an asshole. It seems now that what actually happened was he wanted something from Florence Pugh that she was not doing. I don't not believe that he was being aggressive and an asshole, and I'm sure that's part of the reason she probably wouldn't engage. But it seems that he put forth an ultimatum. It's me or her. Olivia picked Florence. He walked. He feels like that means he quit. She feels like that means she fired him.
Right.
But I do think it was a bit of a PR salvage move because at first she goes, oh, it just wasn't working out with scheduling. And then she goes, oh, his method of acting doesn't work with our crew. And then she went and said, actually, we fired him because of a no assholes policy. Then, of course, here's this video saying Miss Flo needs a wake up call. And that is a shitty thing to say about a woman to the face of a man who is now a known abuser.
Right. I mean, it doesn't look good.
So unfortunately, it does look like she knowingly hired a guy who was accused of abuse. When a woman on set was uncomfortable working with him, it seems like Olivia kind of was bending over backwards to accommodate him.
Yeah.
And suggesting that the woman was in the wrong. And then, of course, Harry comes in and then she's seen dating this guy, Harry.
I have to say, unfortunately, to me, the Shia thing is like her only real crime.
I agree, but unfortunately, it's a pretty legitimate crime.
And I agree with that. Okay, so let's get in through the rest of the timeline of the Don't Worry, Darling.
There's a second thing happening that people suggest was the problem between Flo and Olivia Wilde, which is that Florence Pugh has a lot of like health problems. She has a respiratory problem. She has
I think it's
PCOS.
Pew.
I'll say what I say. If she wanted to be Pew, she should have spelled it like P-E-W.
Sure. She has a couple of health issues, and as sets were required to be, wanted to be COVID safe.
And apparently Olivia Wilde, being a liberal woman, was also constantly like telling the crew, be safe, don't be an idiot, don't be photographed anywhere, don't be caught congregating. Like, we don't want to get bad PR for COVID reasons, which is then why people were kind of upset when she's photographed at a wedding, which I understand.
I agree.
And then on top of that, there's like secondary drama. It's beyond COVID. It's like now there's gossip.
Right.
Because she's seen with her boyfriend who's the star of this movie.
So other rumors that have come out from the set of this film have been that she was very infatuated with Harry during the shooting of this film, really kind of ignored her directorial duties to run this set and was kind of just accommodating Harry. She was so busy making out with him that Florence essentially directed half the movie. There were a lot of rumors about her relationship with Harry and how they affected not only the publicity of the movie, but like the production of the movie.
People said that she was always disappearing. There was a rumor that Florence and Olivia got into like a screaming match one day on set. Neither parties would come out and say yes or no, but then 40 members of the crew came together and all signed a letter saying that like nobody ever got yelled at, especially not an actor. So there was a lot of like debating. At this same time, you have to remember Jason Sudeikis and her are breaking up, and he seems like a fucking emotional psychopath. So this nanny has revealed that like Jason called dibs on the nanny, and she shares texts where he's being like, really what I think inappropriate with a nanny. And I'm sure, like, I've never had a nanny. Like, I could see how when there's an adult in a house with you, like a member of the family raising your children with you, you would feel close. But when you look at the side-by-side texts, like Olivia's texts are very polite, reasonable, and professional and about the logistics of the children. His texts are like, you're a really good person and thanks for putting up with this. I'm just having a really hard time right now. Olivia was naked with this. Like, really like leaning on the nanny emotionally and kind of divulging parts of their relationship. Like, the reason the nanny knows all this stuff about the salad dressing is because he's shared it with her.
Yeah.
Apparently, Olivia would leave Jason Sudeikis voicemails and texts, and Jason would share these with the nanny, being like, can you believe she's saying she loves me when like she just had sex with Harry?
And meanwhile, keep in mind, there are rumors that go beyond this Keeley that Jason has cheated on her a
the
lot.
whole time. And she just did this Call Her Daddy interview where she talks about her birthday. Hold on. Her birthday's in March 10th. She just did this Call Her Daddy interview where she's talking about driving home from her birthday with Jason and asking Jason if he got her a birthday gift. And he goes, well, what would I get you? I don't know you. So I think if in March you're telling your wife, I don't know you, I won't get you a birthday gift, she gets to cheat on you in November. I just think it's kind of fair.
I agree.
Like, it sounds like the relationship was dead for a while.
Yeah, like I said, I honestly feel like the cheating, I don't care at all. I do
Yeah.
care about the unprofessionalism on set and the trying to accommodate an abuser.
100%. And even that, I don't know how it would work. Like, who's responsible for insisting it be Shia?
Yeah.
Because I know obviously the director's ahead of the set, but maybe the studio. Like, who gets to say, no, it's him?
Yeah.
Like, why is it her job to make it work? And how much was that her, like, personally being like, I think for the sake of the movie, I'd rather him in it, or for the sake of my job, or like, I don't know. Like, I do also think that that's fucked up.
I don't know. I don't know that we can say necessarily like who insisted upon him to begin with.
The Miss Flo, a wake up call for Miss Flo is quite condescending.
Yes, of course. You know, at some point, Olivia Wilde is served custody papers. Her and Jason Sudeikis were having, you know, a back and forth about the custody of their children. And she was doing a panel at Comic-Con and was served papers publicly. A lot of people have speculated that this was a stunt. A lot of people have speculated that this was Jason being vindictive.
When people say it's a stunt, they think she did it to herself.
Yes.
I mean, that's obviously crazy.
Yes.
It was like humiliating.
I think it was either Jason being vindictive, which seems entirely possible, or
I am 100% convinced it was Jason being vindictive.
yeah.
Because I have been deep in the threads and I've read the affidavit. So he's on record on the affidavit talking about why that happened. And he claims it wasn't his idea and he didn't want her to be humiliated like that. But his big problem was that she was living in London with Harry Styles at the time. And she goes, well, I didn't want to serve her at the house because I didn't want the children to see. And I didn't
Why would the children even know what's happening when the doorbell rings and you get handed an envelope?
and I didn't want to serve her at their school because I didn't want the other parents, the other children to see. So something people have obviously pointed out is it's very clear that they actually had a week on, week off custody while they were figuring out the custody agreements. You know, when your wife has the children, serve her at her house when
she
you
doesn't
have the
have-
children.
Yeah.
On top of that, the children go to school. They're school-aged children. There's 8 hours a day. He claims that he wanted her to be served in the Heathrow airport on her way to LA where he knew she wouldn't have the kids. How does that make sense? So in order for this man, the server guy, to get into this Comic-Con, it's like it was a closed door situation with like executives only. He needed to be COVID approved. He needed a pass. Someone had to have bought him a ticket. It did have to be premeditated pretty extremely.
Yeah.
Olivia says in this Call Her Daddy interview, I choose to believe that he did not know that they were going to do that to me because it's like the only way we can be good co-parents, and we are good co-parents now. To me, that's her saying like, in
He
my
did do
heart of
that.
hearts, I know he knew.
Yeah.
Because none of it makes sense that he couldn't find a time to serve her not humiliatingly. And it seems so unique. Of all the times she's in public without her kids, you picked one of the most important moments for her career.
Yeah.
As she explains to Call Her Daddy, this is like a time when she's presenting the film to all of the top film executives in the industry.
It's also of note that Jason Sudeikis has a publicist who has represented Justin Baldoni and Johnny Depp. And that publicist's sister is like a tabloid writer who wrote some of the slanderous pieces about Olivia Wilde being like missing from set and just making out with Harry Styles.
You know who else? She represented Rebel Wilson.
Wow.
Yeah. And that insane story. Yeah.
So, you know, some of the allegations about Olivia Wilde being a horrible director are via these Daily Mail pieces that are by Jason's publicist's sister.
And his publicist is famous for being like absolutely willing to smear a woman.
Yeah.
She's like known for the smear campaign. She's like modernized and revolutionized the female takedown smear campaign.
And what makes it so easy, because again, obviously I disagree with Olivia Wilde and the Shia LaBeouf situation. I don't think she should have done that.
In an industry full of protected predators, why did we hear about this one?
Why did we hear about this one? I also find it to be very of note that I remember when this story was big, this like Olivia Wilde, Harry Styles situation, the vitriol I was seeing about her on a very regular basis.
Well, people hated that she was dating that younger man. And I think part of it is the younger man, but I also think part of it is like stans are so insane about who they think Harry Styles is allowed to date.
Yeah. So people hated that he was younger. I mean, I remember seeing posts making fun of the fact that like she was dressing like Harry Styles' exes. She was wearing like baby tees and jeans, which is kind of how people dress. I don't know.
And as she points out, like Jason went on to date this girl, Keely, who is probably his affair partner, who's more younger than him than Harry is of her.
And also, Jason is 9 years older than Olivia. Harry is 10 years younger than Olivia. So I think that to say that Olivia Wilde, in the press, she was being painted as the wrong party in every situation. She was manipulating Jason and being crazy and evil. She was also being crazy and evil to manipulate Harry. And it's like, okay, so the only thing that is deemed wrong in her relationship with Harry, I guess she was the director and he's the actor, so people claimed it was a power imbalance, but like he is a global star.
Yeah.
I think it does complicate like what is person of
I don't
power
know,
here.
man. Like Darren Aronofsky dated Jennifer Lawrence. Like directors date actors all the fucking. Greta Gerwig dated that one who used to be the more famous one.
Yeah, Noah Baumbach.
Think all I could come up with was Justin.
Yeah.
Noah Baumbach. May he rest in peace, career-wise.
But anyway, the point is this idea that like Olivia Wilde is a predator for predating Harry Styles, but also a predator for what she's done to Jason. Like, then you have to factor age out. You know what I mean? Like, she can't be both a wily minx because she's younger and then like an evil cougar because she's older. Like, you can't be both at the same time. I found it really interesting the way people were very eager to paint. While I don't think all of her actions were correct, I do think that there is a way that you can take anyone's actions and make every single thing they do evil, and that is what was done to her. I think people looked at her and they said every single time she walks down the street, she's doing it evilly. And because we don't know her, we can't prove that she's doing it kindly.
Yeah. It's also so interesting to take into consideration that this was at the era of Ted Lasso, where Jason Sudeikis was being elevated as like the great genius TV writer of all time because no man had ever thought to have a mustache and a compliment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he was being elevated as like a beacon of kindness because Ted Lasso said, do a good job out there, boys.
Yeah, and then also when
Suck her
everyone
nicely.
found out that he went through a divorce, they're like, that's where the pain came from. The pain of his divorce. Meanwhile, he chased a woman around with a bat.
Allegedly.
Apparently he did it. I mean, honestly, I wish she hadn't done that Call Her Daddy interview because they both pissed me off so bad in that. Like, I really felt, it's that Dana Donnelly tweet. Have you ever seen her where she's like, my therapist can't make me better, but I can make us both worse? That's how I felt about listening to Olivia Wilde try to like stoop to the intellectual level of Alex Cooper, who just says yes to anything. Like, it pissed me off so bad. But I am like, God, I guess I would kill myself if I was being painted as like a succubus, whore, evil director who hates women and is screaming at everybody, while my ex, who's like chasing me around with a bat and humiliating me publicly as much as he can, is getting lauded as like the greatest guy of all time on one of like the dangiest shows.
Dangiest?
It's like, God dang that show.
I like that show.
Well,
I thought it was nice.
everyone liked it at the time. I wonder how history will. Did you watch season 2?
Yeah.
Did you watch season 3?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
With the same kind of passion?
I thought it was a show about what if boys had feelings, and I like to have a fantasy about it. I like to sit there and go, maybe they do have feelings.
Well, they do. That's why they grabbed the bat. They feel angry that their wife said no more cheating on me.
It's about men learning how to process their emotions healthily by like talking to each other.
Well, I hope Jason got there.
I think it's made up. I think Ted Lasso's not real.
Well, why doesn't he act like that in real life? Why doesn't he act like he could process if he can
I
act
guess
like it
the
on TV?
thing that I find so interesting is the way that with one piece of information that is actually bad, Olivia Wilde is the most evil woman in the world. And people are so happy to hear about it. And people were so happy to hate Don't Worry, Darling. And they were so happy to watch Florence like look sexy on the red carpet and be like, yeah, fuck you, Olivia Wilde. Florence Pugh looks good today. And it's like, Florence Pugh always looks good. And I'm happy for her.
The irony is everybody was like, Florence Pugh hates her because she was hooking up with her little like young boyfriend. Meanwhile, if Florence Pugh did hate her, which I do believe, because she did not promote the movie, she abandoned a bunch of scheduled press tour events. Like they did have beef.
Yes, definitely.
And I believe they had beef because she supported like Shia LaBeouf over her. But the other thing that I saw on Reddit was that apparently to throw Jason Sudeikis off the stench
Of Harry and
Olivia,
yeah,
she claimed that Harry and Florence were hooking up.
Mm.
Florence at the time was dating Zach Braff, who was friends with like Jason Sudeikis. So it did get back to her. I wouldn't stand on it over rushing water, but I had heard it.
Yeah.
I just made that phrase up. Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I liked it. Like I said, the only thing we know is that she was working with Shia LaBeouf, which is something I don't agree with. This idea that she's like definitely such a bad director, I find very frustrating because we just don't know that she didn't direct the movie. And
Yeah.
it seems pretty made up.
Yeah. There was Spitgate.
I think women can make out with an actor in the trailer and also direct a movie at the same time.
So now it seems it's okay. She's back with her new movie. It seems like it's awesome. I want to go see it, actually.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see it.
Can I tell you the thing she said on the Call Her Daddy interview that like drove me up the goddamn wall?
What?
We already talked about the marriage thing that kind of pissed me off. And it's, I guess, like her long-lived truth. And then, yeah, the looks thing really pissed me off. Where she was like, well, in high school, I was like, in high school, what, Olivia? In high school, you thought you could be a famous actress and you were right? Okay. It doesn't sound like you were so insecure. The other thing that pissed me off is like Alex Cooper says something like, yeah, and the crazy thing about women's looks is it's like they're like a trend. Like they come and go. Like sometimes you should have this body shape. Sometimes you should have this body shape. And it like constantly changes. And Olivia Wilde goes, you're so right. Yeah, that's really true. Like as if she had never thought about it before. As if she had never thought about beauty trend cycles before. And that's when I'm like, Olivia, keep your back up. You do not need the daddy gang just come see your movie. They're not going to do it. It's for whoever likes to see Sideways. It's the same crowd. And no one who loved the movie Sideways has been born and is listening to Call Her Daddy. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, don't suck down to her. And then another thing that killed me. Oh, when they were talking about the marriage thing, Alex Cooper was like totally agreeing with Olivia about like marriage doesn't work. And I'm like, okay.
You're married.
And then she said this whole thing about how when her and Matt Kaplan started dating, Alex Cooper was like, and I told him, like, I don't believe in marriage. I'm not getting married. I don't need the piece of paper. It doesn't matter to me. And then she's like, of course, when we did get married, like I changed my mind but it was like, because he had agreed to not needing the paper that I like felt like we weren't getting married because we needed to get married. We were just like getting married because we wanted to. And I was like, Alex, just don't say anything. Like, I am like, Alex Cooper, if you don't have to, not everything your guests say has to be shared with your lived experience. Yeah. It makes you sound insane and spineless and like nothing here has any meaning. If
I will say nothing there has any meaning.
But like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you, a woman who got married in such a normal amount of engagement time.
Also, this idea that Alex Cooper was like, yeah, he knew that I didn't like need to get married. And that's what, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. This is so misogynistic, first of all, to act like women clamoring for wanting to be married don't deserve to get married. I guess also I feel like like Alex Cooper, you're worth like $100 million. Like, why wouldn't someone want to marry you? It seems that Matt Kaplan has found your marriage very lucrative.
Well, that's why she didn't want to get married, because she was too rich. Anyway, my final thing that pissed me off in this interview was they talk about like that recent viral video of her looking fisheye lens.
Oh, this is bothersome to me.
And so they were going on and on and on. And Olivia Wilde was being so like cool girl reasonable about being like, I get it. If I saw that photo of me and I thought I looked that crazy, I'd be like, why does she look so bad? Like, I looked like I was going to die. Like, I get why people were so fascinated with how bad I looked, blah, blah, blah.
They didn't think you looked bad. They thought you looked skinny.
Well, exactly. I'm like, you are completely sidestepping the truth of that conversation, which is you are one of the many women who seem to have gotten like visibly underweight in a way that is like unhealthy, and you are showing it off constantly. Like the last red carpet dress she wore was literally a stomach cutout, which is something I've never seen. But I guess she was like, these ribs gotta be.
Emrata's done it.
But yeah, true, exactly. But I'm like, you are somebody that's being looked at as like, you seem to be at an unhealthy underweight, and you seem very proud and showing it off. And so,
Lindsay Hubbard also recently did it.
But do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, stop acting like it was just some crazy fisheye lens and sidestepping the actual conversation, which is you're one of you, Demi Moore, Ariana Grande. There's a lot of women right now looking visibly unhealthy and like celebrating it about themselves. And there is an era, this Ozempic era, like the conversation is coming back. Like, what do we do about the new trend and being deeply unhealthy, frail, and showing it off and being proud? And it's like so bullshit for you to sit here and act so like cool girl. Oh, an ugly photo went viral. What are you going to do? Especially paired with another clip I saw. I didn't watch the whole interview, but she was talking about as a director, how hard it is to like find women who've never gotten Botox so they can like really do emotions. And I'm like, bitch, you get
Botox and then put yourself in your own movies.
It really, I don't know.
What do you mean? I can't find a me to be in my movies that doesn't have Botox because I keep getting Botox. I want to put me in the movie, but I can't stop getting Botox.
She's very smooth skin. I don't know. I just am like, enough is, I don't know. I want to like her, and I think what was done to her was unfair. I think she would have done better. I'm not kidding, being interviewed by us.
Oh, me too.
And I know that sounds crazy, but I think if somebody had pushed back and forced her to like find her truth and rationalize and like sit in the hypocrisies and the inconsistencies, which are human. None of us live up to our morals every day. None of us like I do think if someone pushed back on her shit, she could articulately explain herself in a way that would make you come around to her side. But having someone like Alex Cooper just nod and appease makes you both seem dumber.
Yeah, I guess I walked away from my research liking her still a lot. That's I really great. Like her because I find her to be incredibly imperfect. And I think that there is a lot about her that I don't agree with. But I also like the way that she is like evolving creatively. And I find it very empowering the way she like continues to like let the work speak for itself almost. And I know she has to do this press tour right now, but I feel like, I don't know, after Don't Worry Darling, the way that the like goal of Jason Sudeikis's smear campaign was to make you believe that she is an unfit mother and absolutely incapable at her job. I was like, that is crazy to like, that is crazy to endure. And I also think there are certain things like I don't agree with that she does. And I think that some of her like faux feminism from the angle of most beautiful girl in America / the world is fucking annoying. And I think the way that she continues to like write and think and work through it is fascinating to watch. And like I would like to discuss that with her because I agree there's a lot of hypocrisy there that's like very interesting to look at.
Olivia, come do our podcast. I actually want to see your movie so bad and I think I'll love it. Talk to us.
Yeah.
I think it would serve you. I think it would serve you because you can handle the scrutiny because you're smart.
Yeah. Because I'm not mad at you. I just have questions.
Yeah. I just like genuinely wish.
I wish you hadn't talked to Alex Cooper about it.
Yeah. Any other nuggets from the Cut article?
I found it very interesting that she played herself on the studio last season because that feels like the most, to me, indicative moment of like rebound era. You know what I mean? I think playing yourself on a show that's by your friend is like, to me, the smartest bounce back move of all.
Nothing makes me more mad than how cool and funny Jessica Biel seems making fun of herself on BoJack Horseman.
Yeah, I mean, Zoe Kravitz also on the studio, I think does a great job. Like, I think
they were both on it?
Yeah.
Together?
No.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. Well, Olivia Wilde, call us. You guys, can you tag her in this? Who knows her?
If anyone knows her, tell her we'd like to talk.
We'll serve her, ultimately.
Papers.
No. That's a triggering word.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys.
Support.
Good night.
And good noticings.
Support for good noticings comes from cotton, the fabric of our lives.
Hey, you know something I noticed right now?
What?
We're both wearing 100% cotton, 100% vibey ass vintage t-shirts that have been around for like probably a billion years.
Do you know how durable this shirt is? This was like a guy I dated in college's favorite shirt. And I think he's pissed I stole it from him, but I hope he knows that like I'm still getting good wear out of it. I graduated from college in 2014.
I mean, when I think of the things that have come and gone since 2014, I've lived in like 5 apartments in 2 different major cities.
I'm wearing a Knicks shirt. This shirt's probably existed since the last Knicks championship.
And that was before anybody in this town was born. I mean, there is something about getting just like the perfect crisp cotton t-shirt and then knowing it's going to be your favorite shirt, I don't know, forever.
It just gets softer with age. I love it because I look cute in it, but I can also sleep in it because it's so soft, it's so breathable, it's so cozy.
The next time you shop, check the tags for cotton. Support for this show comes from Saint Germain Elderflower Liqueur.
Have you ever been to the French Riviera?
No, but I've tasted it.
Can I tell you, I haven't been there, but I've seen photos on Instagram and I can imagine in my head, and it's exactly how I feel having a Hugo Spritz.
I got the C by my side. I got a Spritz in my hand. Tell me how that's not France.
Can I ask you just real quick?
Sure.
Even though I'm an expert. Saintgermaine. How are you saying that?
Saint Germain.
I can already tell that's wrong. I also think you went heavy American on the first word and like deep German on the second.
Well, no matter how you say it, it tastes amazing.
Visit saintgermainliqueur.com to shop and explore recipes. Enjoy responsibly.